After the first round, the home run derby is long. It lasts a long time on TV.
Okay.
It's just this, I mean, the first round you had Rodriguez hits the 41. What's his name there? The Baltimore guy goes to the right side for that, which was the cool.
Adley Rutschman.
Yeah, Rutschman goes to the right side, hits 7 of 8. That's cool. But then I'm over it.
That was the exact moment I was over it too.
All right. Here's a very important thing. Felipe, what was the home run distance over under?
483, I think.
That's what I thought, because I saw a DraftKings over under, which was 490. The reason why the 483 is key is Luis Robert Jr. hit the longest home run last night at 484.
Wow. That's
so pretty important as to which site you bet the over under on.
I don't know what CBS Sports uses as their lines, but they have the 483.5 on there. I'm just looking up stuff from yesterday quickly, just so making sure we're right.
So if that's the case, it went over by 6 inches. Morning, baby Jules. I liked your text. Well, that escalated quickly.
I mean, I'd already known for about an hour by the time John had sent that out, but I'm like, are you?
I hadn't.
Really?
Yeah, I was talking to the wife, having dinner, getting a show ready. No, I had tuned out.
Getting the show ready, ours, or were you doing
No, the Lincoln lawyer.
Oh, okay. Like getting the show ready. I'm like, I didn't know if you were
to watch.
Okay.
I'm 57 years old. Quality time with the wife. Sitting on the couch, holding hands, watching.
Right.
Netflix. I mean that.
Trust me, it's a lot more time than I spent with my wife last night. She gets home on Mondays at 6:30. We had dinner. She got ready for bed. She went to bed about 8:30. The AC we got fixed, but it's still not
percolating
upstairs. I don't know. I'm gonna have to bring him back today, I think. He said he fixed it, David, but it wasn't fixed.
Seems as if your definition of fixed and my definition of fixed are two totally different definitions.
Yep. Yes, sir.
My definition of fixed is we can hang some beef up here. You see any beef?
Well, my daughter still had to sleep downstairs last night because it was still 80 degrees upstairs. That ain't fixed.
That ain't fixed. Dog doesn't want any part upstairs. Child doesn't want any part upstairs. Hell, I didn't even want to go look at the good, bad, and ugly. It ain't fixed.
It's getting a little hot for that segment right now.
I have to admit, AC in the house is not like AC in the car. It's not like me driving around for a couple of years there. Okay, with no AC and the windows down. You can't do that in the house.
I put on, because my daughter's favorite, plus she got to watch a Rosarena. I let her watch the first at bat. After that, it was bedtime. But I put on ESPN, I don't know, early, just to throw something on.
Mm-hmm.
I must have seen the Griffey story that they did 17 times yesterday.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Hope your week got off to a good start. Thanks for starting your Tuesday with us. We asked the question, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com, where the magic numbers. They're doable. They're manageable. 46, 51, 58. Yes, they are. 6.5 weeks away from week 0 getting underway. 7 weeks from Thursday, week 1 of the college football season. 8 weeks from Thursday, Lions and Chiefs, my oh my. Top of the morning to you, Mark. Do you feel as if your vacation is now officially over? You're back in the grind.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, I'm ready for another vacation. You know me, David. There's never enough when it comes to vacation days. But you're right. Get right back into it. And yesterday, magic numbers be damned. It was all about what's going on in Evanston, Illinois, as Pat Fitzgerald gets bounced after getting a 2-week vacation suspension lifted.
So can we review? So on Friday, you were still on vacation, but on Friday, they said, we've concluded a 6-month investigation, and we're going to suspend him 2 weeks without pay, effective immediately. There was hazing within the program, but he didn't know about it. At least we can't prove it. And, we're going to do better. And Pat Fitzgerald said, I'll do better. I accept the 2-week unpaid vacation. That was Friday. By late Monday afternoon, he was fired. Now, without getting into the details of the case, can I just ask one question? Who the hell conducted the 6-month investigation? Because they must have missed something. Either that, or they were trying to cover up something and it got uncovered, and now it was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to throw myself on the grenade.
Well, and don't you have to vote for B, that they didn't release any of the investigation? They're not going to release any of the investigation.
Right. Oh, it's going to come out, if for no other reason, okay, then Pat Fitzgerald's already hired a law firm. Oh, the details are coming out. This university president, who I guess has been on the job 10 months, all right, put it this way. I don't think he sees year 2.
Welcome to the Big Ten.
Right. In fact, I'd start looking for another gig right now.
Because you, sir, are no legend or leader at this point.
He's trying to act like a leader, though. He's saying, listen, the 2-week decision was mine, and the decision to fire him was all mine. Okay. All right.
Then what happened over the weekend? Did you miss a chapter of the investigative report? Did you go from chapter 2 to chapter 4 and just skip chapter 3, which included all the hazing incidents?
And I have a question. You apparently met with someone on Friday and someone on Sunday. Did you not meet with these people previously in the last 6 months? Did whoever conducted the investigation not meet with these people? Which, once again, begs the question, what kind of an investigation was this? I don't know if Northwestern got this right or not. None of us do. But Northwestern, you got to admit, this is not a good look. However you want to look at this is not a good look.
No, it really isn't. If firing was the right decision, David, if when we find out what's in the investigation, if they have reasonable idea that Pat Fitzgerald was aware of the hazing that had been going on that long, and they give him a 2-week suspension instead of firing him, then they look terrible. If he didn't know and they fired him, they look terrible. They have put themselves in a no-win situation out of this, unless they were. unless the investigation was completely wrong and this meeting with the family enlightened them over the weekend.
Well, but it makes the investigation look like either a sham or incompetence. I mean, Northwestern they apparently hired an outside firm to conduct the investigation. If I was Northwestern, I would sue them and want all my money back. It's honest. You have to claim as if, wow, this is the worst. Barney Fife apparently did your investigation. How about that for an old reference? It's a baseball hour after all. I mean, if you're going to go with an old reference, I mean, let's go with a black and white TV show.
In fact, I want to start something, Felipe. Every time we may add this, we may have to we finish the show, and it's not on the network. For those of you listening on the network, we finished the show with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when What's on Tap. PTI has done errors and omissions for years on their show, which is a nice little feature.
Right.
We might have to do things Felipe didn't know. So you can just start writing down Barney Fife. You can just start keeping a ledger every day of the references that Miller and Moulton make that you have no idea what we're talking about.
That went over my head like the commercial airliner that's flying over me right now. Slowly going over my
the
head.
reference is older than both Miller and Moulton.
Yes.
I mean, that is a fact. This TBS ran reruns so long that we were aware of it.
I'm too young for this show sometimes.
Most
so,
time.
So are Miller and Moulton sometimes. But yes, and TV Land has kept it alive and well. But anyway, back to this humdinger of an investigation. Whoo-wee. I mean, honestly, I'm not making light of the story, but I am making light of how Northwestern has handled this. I mean, one way or another, this is either complete incompetence, complete overreaction, whatever. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe, I guess it is quote unquote possible that when they released their original discipline, that the investigation was done so badly. And then when they talked to two other people, that they found out, wow, this wasn't in the report. I didn't know about this. If I had known about this, I would have handled this completely differently.
Chalk it up to the Daily Northwestern for coming up with the majority of this story, unlike the 6-month investigation.
Mark, could the students at the Daily Northwestern, could they write and now send a couple of them to the New York Times and a couple of them to the LA Times, since both sports departments are apparently, disappearing, basically. The LA Times sports department's not disappearing, but half of what's in the sports section is disappearing, which makes you wonder how much longer the rest of the sports department will be in business. Meanwhile, the New York Times sports section, it is no more. On the same day that the Daily Northwestern, I feel badly. This is going to be the highlight of these kids' careers, because by the time they're 26 years old, they're not going to have one.
Certainly not in the newspaper world.
No.
They may be writing for something online somewhere.
Listen, if you do an investigation and you get arguably the greatest athlete in the history of your school fired, don't you have to get an A? That's got to be that's got to be graduate school work there, right? Please tell me they get a little something more than this. I wrote for my school newspaper, the Aquinas, and we had a massive story one time, Mark, massive. Okay. There was a part that was stolen. All right. At the radio station. And because of it, there's only one thing that we could broadcast on the radio station, and that was live sports. And so we were doing around the clock coverage of the conference basketball tournament. All right. And those of us in the sports department of the radio station were accused of stealing the part just so that we could broadcast the games. We're like, you do know we're not getting any money for this, right? Don't get me wrong. We love our University of Scranton basketball, but not enough to work around the clock. Big investigation at the Aquinas. Big. That and how we're going to improve the French toast, which looked purple all the time.
So you
purple
didn't get any
trench coat.
coaches fired at the Aquinas.
Did not get anyone fired. We did, however, eventually find out who stole the part.
You going to let us know?
No. Have to look it up in the archives. March of 85. So congratulations to these four. All right. Good job. It's fantastic. Hope you get an A. And, I mean, put it on your resume. I don't know where you're going to be able to work, but good job by you.
Certainly not in the sports department. Might want to shoot for news. You've got an eye for it already.
Do you know, apparently the New York Times reassigned Tyler Kepner, who's covered baseball for 25 years. They assigned him to the national news desk yesterday. Guy's been doing stories on launch angles lately. So now what does he handle? Our nuclear arsenal? I mean, slugging percentage to what? Disarmament? I mean, what's the transition here? Wait a minute. You want me to go to Iowa for Field of Dreams? No, the caucuses. Go.
Look at it this way. At least he kept his job.
Well, that's true, at least for a while. Until the kids from Northwestern get it.
They're on the short list already, David, no doubt. But Pat Fitzgerald out. How do you not assume that they came to the conclusion that he knew full on about the hazing?
Well, the president made it sound in the statement that he released that they couldn't make that conclusion after the 6-month investigation, but that apparently talking to the former student athlete on Friday and the former student athlete on Sunday, that the president came to the conclusion that, well, yeah, he had to know. And if he knew, I got to fire him. Okay.
So take the under and whatever the over-under bet was on Northwestern this year.
Well, you could take it for the rest of the decade. All right, this program is done. No. Northwestern is going to become they're the new Kansas. This will be the worst Power 5 football program in the country for the next 15 years. It's over. Miller and Moulton. We'll explain why and a whole lot more on the other side.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, Lindy, could you help me out? What is it that you were referencing? Is it me?
You're not given the answer of who stole the part, is what Lindy
Oh,
about. Lindy is totally right. Everything he's saying is totally right, and I'm with him on this.
it was actually a professor. He was mad at the university about something in the communications department. A tenured professor.
Did he get reprimanded, fired?
He didn't get fired. He got reprimanded. You know, it was the Jesuits and all. I think they made him go out and do shots. So the professor wanted us both conference tournaments, the men's and the women's tournaments, got moved to the University of Scranton at the exact same time. So the women were playing in the afternoon and the men were playing in the evenings. And it went on all week. And we wanted to broadcast many of the games on the radio station. And somebody at the higher up at the university said no. And this guy in the communications department thought it was a bad decision. And so he knew that apparently if a certain part was missing, that like records couldn't be played. So that the only way that the station could broadcast would be if, you like filtered programming in. And we had a direct line from the gym to the station. So literally the only thing we could broadcast on the radio station that week was live college basketball. So we did like 5-6 days of like noon to 11 p.m. basketball. And then amazingly on Monday, the part reappeared.
It's pretty funny.
Well, that's what we're wondering, Spitz. Don't they? I'm not paying the investigators. What kind of investigations did you guys do? We weren't able to directly link Fitzgerald to the hazing. That's funny. I had 2 guys in my office over the weekend who had no problem doing it.
How does this sound for a tweet? 'Cause I'm going to post a clip. Amidst the hazing allegations surrounding Northwestern's football program, the university has decided to part ways with their head coach, Pat Fitzgerald.
You could also shorten it and just say Northwestern fired head coach Pat Fitzgerald.
Fine.
No. Seriously, the idea is to be less wordy.
You're right.
I mean, what you said is not wrong. It's just
wordy.
I mean, that's how you do copy. You write it like that. You take a look at it and you go, I could probably shorten this.
And that's why editors exist. Thanks, Editor David.
So it all depends, Felipe. Do you have 90 seconds for an update? You do it my way. If you're doing a 4-hour show, you can do it yours. Paul, are you sure about that? About no one's buying them? I thought I saw something about a bit of a resurgence from Subway.
Here we go. And hell no.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Magic numbers 46, 51, and 58. NFL training camps get underway next week with rookies reporting. Come on, you're almost there. Heck, Mark, how many more coaches can get fired before opening day of college football? So let's see. Huggins gets fired in college basketball mid-June. Now here we are approaching mid-July. We got a Big Ten football coach fired. I mean, I'll put the over-under at a half between now and August 31st. Division I college basketball, Division I college football. Can anybody else get fired before we start games in the standings?
I am going to take the under.
You know what? I'm taking the over. It's just the world we're living in
I
these
know.
days.
I know. I'm just trying to be a little bit more positive, David. and
I know
saying
you
that
always
no one will
are,
get-
Mark.
That no one will get gassed between now and the end of August.
You always are the more positive one on the show. I appreciate it. Listen, we started a lot more seriously than we normally do. I mean, for goodness sakes, we started with the Pat Fitzgerald hazing firing story. How about we transition to something lighthearted? How about that home run derby, huh?
You know, I would think, once again, here we are in what we have dubbed the baseball hour.
Yeah.
You could do it with a little less sarcasm, a little more positivity.
What are you talking about? How about that home run derby, huh?
It's dripping.
Crickets.
It's dripping in sarcasm.
Oh man.
How about that?
It was
also something
fantastic.
You
There's
hadn't
some
heard
great
when you,
moments in it.
That's also something you hadn't heard when you went on vacation there for 10, 11 days. All right. You hadn't heard peacock, and you hadn't heard, how about that?
No, I could always try to look that way. I could always go to a YouTube clip of an old This Week in Baseball to get one of those if I needed it, David. The peacock was a little less easier obtainable for me. But I thought the home run derby had some good moments in it. I liked the home run derby. I think
I
they
know
had
you do.
fun.
I know you do. I was setting you up there. We're throwing it in an underhanded, slow pitch softball, letting you pound that sucker over the fence.
Well, I don't know about pounding over the fence, but I thought it had some great moments. The hometown kid hits 41 in the first round of the home run derby.
I read
41.
I have to admit, if I was watching, I would have bet the house that he would have lost in the next round because we've seen it so many times. When they hit 412 home runs, they're exhausted.
Absolutely exhausted. And then you got the kid from Baltimore there who goes left-handed, hits 21 until the bonus, and then says, you know what? I'm going to switch to righty and jack 7 to 8.
I was bummed when I found out my pick hit 27 homers and got beat. Like, damn. That's a good run right there. 21 one way, 6 the other. Come on, have a little something for the effort, by the way. I think if you switch hit, whichever is the second side you go to, it should be like the 3-point contest in the NBA where the money ball. I think if you start out left-handed, those are worth a point. You switch to righty, those are worth 2. One or the other.
You weren't the only one. The announcers kind of joked and thought the same thing, that should be worth more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did. It was sold out. The fans were all in. The players were all in. They were having fun. And I know you, David, God forbid we have a little fun with these things. That's all you ever promote is having a good, you want to see more fun, more guys express themselves. And that's what they do in this thing.
Mark, I couldn't be any more genuine. How about that home run derby, huh?
Speaking of promote, what a night for T-Mobile. I mean, the T-Mobile home run derby at T-Mobile Park.
That's a lot of money spent. I mean, to be honest with you, that's when did we really need to do both? Somebody should have realized, do we have to sponsor the home run derby this year? We're sponsoring the park that it's in.
They sponsor it every year, though.
I know. It was just a joke. That's all.
I'll shut up.
Aren't we kind of overkilling this? That's all. When they're sitting having their marketing meetings. somebody goes, it's a T-Mobile home run derby, T-Mobile Park. That's where somebody goes, it's probably one too many T-Mobiles. How much is that costing us?
Can we save it and get another ad?
Right. So,
but Randy Arozarena gets to the final.
I love the fact that it's kind of like match play in golf, Mark. You and I could play, and I could shoot 3 under, and you could shoot 1 over, and you could beat me 2-1. And apparently that's what Vlad Jr. did last night, because Arozarena hit like 12 more home runs than Vlad Jr. did.
Yep.
Over the course of the 3 rounds. In fact, Rodriguez damn near hit more in 2 rounds than Vladdy Jr. hit in 3. But he ham and egged that sucker. He just kept getting through in match play. 1 up, 2-1. That sort of deal. 2 up. And he's through. Next thing you know, it's like, here you go, like father, like son. Which I do think is cool. 16 years to the day after his dad did it? That's cool.
Very much so.
Ah.
They put on a good show last night. It's nothing more than that. It's a show.
Hell, Vlad Sr. winning the home run derby was one of my first memories of watching the home run derby.
Wow, I'm impressed you remember.
Yeah.
Wow,
I mean, I used to watch the home run derby every year.
Okay.
I only half paid attention to it this year. I feel like I'm getting old.
You're not. This just in.
And you're not close.
No.
When I no longer have clothing items that are older than you,
right,
then you can say you're older.
Right. You're starting to get old.
But you have to outlast my Miami Hurricane sweatshirt that's got you by a good 7 years right now.
Well, that's not possible, Mark.
Well, it could fall. When that falls apart, then you're a little bit older. I mean, clothes do end up falling apart.
Right. You wash it one too many times, and next thing you know, you got to throw it out or give it away.
But I liked the home run derby. I thought they put a good show on. I think it goes a little too long. I mean, they kill you with commercials and then the break before the bonus time. But they put on a good show last night.
So let's get to the important stuff, okay? There was one bet that was the toughest bet of the night. How far was the longest home run going to be hit? Now, it depends. When we talk gambling from time to time on this show, and we will talk about, hey, it's 3.5 here, but you can get it at 4 over here. And sometimes the half a point can be a really big deal. Well, depending on where you placed your over-under bet on longest home run last night, that was very important. Because the place we cited had the over-under for the longest home run at 483.5 feet. Mark, according to the technology that they had last night, how far did the longest home run go?
484 feet.
So you won the over by 6 inches.
By 6 inches.
There you go.
By a sub.
With or without cheese. Right. Now, I know DraftKings over-under was like 490.5. But most places had the over-under at 483.5. And Luis Robert Jr. hit a 484-foot home run. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
And you wonder why they keep building new casinos.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have this close at all. They have no idea.
But also, if you've got the under, tell me you don't want to protest that bet. Tell me you're not like, come on.
David,
I'll bet
if you're betting the
484.
over-under on the home run derby, you're not allowed to protest any bet. The starting 5 is coming up on the other side right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I could be wrong, but I think Twitter has lowered the amount of characters that a non-Twitter blue user could type in a tweet. This doesn't feel like a lot that I have here.
Well, we may have to go to Thread.
Hell no.
Really?
Twitter is a much better interface
For right now.
opinion.
Thread's been up for what, 5 days?
I mean, it's literally 5 days old.
No, I know.
I'd give it a chance. You know, the guy behind it's got a few bucks and a little bit of technology. Give him a chance.
It's got potential. I'll admit that.
Well,
but
we should have an account on that. We should have an account on Instagram. We should have an account on TikTok. These are things that should have been done a long time ago.
I am torn on TikTok. I do think the Chinese government's spying on all of us with the technology.
So?
I just don't know if that bothers me or not. That's all. I'm just up in the air.
Does it bother you more than them buying up land right and left all over this country?
No, unfortunately, those are the ground rules of the country. I mean, you know, once we said that was the case, you know, we either have to stop all of it or, you know, just roll with the punches. Of course, you got everybody spying on us with all our technology. Miller and Moulton snark with cute dogs and recipes. Good luck with that in court, KW. Oh, he'll be an analyst for Alabama. I mean, I don't know if that counts or not. He'll be an intern or an analyst for Alabama. Hell, it might happen before Labor Day. But in all seriousness, I could see an NFL team hiring him as just to bring him on board, do some self-scouting and things like that. I could see. I mean, there have been a couple of NFL teams that were interested in him over the years.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, David Samson joins us at the top of the hour. Final time for a month. How dare he go on vacation during the middle of the summer? What is he thinking?" David Samson, a little more than 20 minutes time here on Miller and Moulton. Right now it's time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Did you hear how quick on the trigger he was there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, wait till the 9 o'clock hour when he plays that again when I ask for the good, bad, and ugly sounder.
I mean, Bobby Bowden used to talk about playing through the echoes of the whistle. Okay. I mean, I don't even think my last syllable, it was still like the noise was still out there.
He was not going to get a late hit call on that one.
No, man. That's like the defensive end who gets such a jump. You're like, boy, you really anticipate the snap count. I thought he was offsides. All right, Felipe, well done there. Well done. Hey, yesterday at this time, Pat Fitzgerald was the football coach at Northwestern. Now, I mean, he was suspended 2 weeks without pay, but he's not anymore. He was fired Monday amid allegations of hazing within the football program. I mean, they conducted a 6-month investigation, concluded it on Friday, suspended him 2 weeks without pay. Then the president talked to 2 former players, one on Friday, one on Sunday. Says it was my decision. Both penalties were my decision. Wow. He's easily influenced, I'd say. Fitzgerald, 48 years old, 17 years the head coach, 110 wins. He's arguably the greatest athlete post-World War II in Northwestern history between coach, player. I mean, over half his life's been at Northwestern, player, assistant coach, and head coach. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He was only 2 years into a 10-year, $57 million contract. Oh, they're going to argue over that one. So they promoted the defensive coordinator, interim head coach, and most everybody immediately said, well, if there was hazing within the program, what are you doing promoting from within? Yeah, the guy they promoted, he joined the program 6 months ago. He was a coordinator at North Dakota State last year. David Braun is his name. So you can say, hey, he didn't have anything to do with anything. So we'll see how many of Fitzgerald's assistants stay and all that. But David Braun, the interim head coach. Northwestern's first game's nationally televised against Rutgers on the road on CBS the Sunday of Labor Day weekend.
Welcome to the Big Ten.
Felipe, you may want to look up what Northwestern football was like in the late 70s, the entire decade of the 80s into the early 90s.
And if you don't want to, I'll just give you the quick Reader's Digest version. Believe they set a record for the longest consecutive losing streak in Division I football.
Correct. They were the worst program in the country. And there wasn't a second either.
Vanderbilt looked down at them.
Boy, did they ever. Home Run Derby was last night. The Rays, Randy Arozarena, he had a great run. Made it all the way to the finals, where Vlad Guerrero Jr. edged him out 25-23. Jr. duplicating what his dad did 17 years earlier or 16 years earlier, one or the other. We had some highlights, though. Seattle's own Julio Rodriguez, since the All-Star festivities are in Seattle, he had 41 home runs in the first round to beat Pete Alonso decisively. That's a record, 41 in a round. But he lost to Vladdy in the second round when he hit half that number. The Orioles' Adley Rauschman hit 27 homers in the first round, 21 left-handed, 6 right-handed, and yet he got beat. Luis Robert Jr. hit the longest home run of the day, 484 feet. He got beat in the semis by Arozarena. Tonight, Garrett Cole, the Yankees, will get the start. He's 9-2 with a sub-3 ERA against Arizona Diamondbacks ace Zach Gallen, who's 11-3 with a 3.04 ERA. American League's won a bunch in a row, Mark. I know they've won the last 5. I don't know if it's longer than that. So I'm taking the National League tonight, by the way, for whatever that's worth. Luis Arise getting the start for the Marlins at second base. He's hitting 383. He's batting 6th. Meanwhile, Arozarena starting. He's hitting 3rd. Yandy Diaz is starting. He's hitting 5th. Ohtani batting 2nd for the American League.
Arozarena got congratulations from Ohtani last night after the first round, and then asked Ohtani if he could take a picture with him.
Well, it's just like, maybe last chance to see him in an Angels uniform.
Oh, look at there.
The Marlins making some news. They reinstated Johnny Cueto from the 60-day IL. Cueto is not going to start. He's going to come out of the bullpen. He's been ineffective rehabbing in the minors. Mark, you may have missed this. Over the weekend, the Marlins sent down rookie sensation Yuri Perez. Why? They want to limit the number of innings he's going to pitch. I could spend an hour on this. My question is, let me get this straight. So you're sending him to the minors. Are you putting him on the shelf? Well, no, he's going to pitch. It's just we're going to, limit the number of innings. Well, then
limit the innings in Miami,
where he's getting people out, and
regularly.
You're trying to make the playoffs. I mean, if you want to put him in the bullpen as your long reliever for a month, and when you bring him in, he does 2-3 innings at a time, and that's it. Fine. You want him to be an opener. How about he continues to pitch every 5 days? But you treat him like an opener. He goes 2-3 innings. That's it. You take him out. What are you doing? He's 20 years old. He's just, are you serious? We don't have to go through the history of baseball, right? Doc Gooden went 24-4 when he was 20. Threw nearly 300 innings. Do we want to go Clemens? I mean, where do we want to go with? How many guys we want to go with that at that age? Bob Feller? I mean, I understand he's 20. And are we trying to make the playoffs or not? Johnny Cueto can't get guys out of AAA. He's 83 years old. What are we doing? All right. I just need to get that off my chest.
Good.
Thank you. Hey, we've had a sighting from an American male in a Grand Slam tennis event. No. Not in the crowd, hey, there's Andre Agassi. No. Like on the court. Chris Eubanks is his name. He upset the 5 seed, Tsitsipas, yesterday, 6-4 in the 5th. He advanced to the quarters. He's only the 3rd American male in the last 25 years to get to the quarters, or at least 20 years since Sampras. Anyway, he's going to face the 3rd seed Medvedev in the quarters. Top seed Alcaraz and Djokovic both needed 4 sets to advance. They seem to be on a collision course. Madison Keys rallied after losing the first set, won 6-2 in the 3rd to advance to the quarter. She's going to face the 2 seed Sabalenka. Meanwhile, 4 seed Jessica Pegula and the top seed Swiatek are both in action today in the quarters. If they win, they'll face each other in the semis. This is a real shot for Pegula here. 29 years old. She's never won a Grand Slam. She's got a real shot if you look at the draw here. Because she might even be favored over Swiatek. This is Swiatek's worst surface. And back to Bob Huggins for a moment.
The story that won't go away. Because Bob Huggins won't let it go away.
I'll tell you what. Man, they got the lawyers and the marketing people and whatever working, PR people working overtime on both sides. So here's Bob Huggins' story, Mark. First off, he's in a rehab center. Okay, he's trying to, take care of himself and his drinking problem. But he said he's ready to leave the rehab center as soon as he gets his job back. Listen, I haven't been to rehab, but I thought you left the rehab center when they thought maybe you were ready to
Is this a 30-day program, a 90-day program? No, it's just until I get my job back program.
It's a week from Thursday program. I'm back, baby. Okay. For the record, he did not resign. His wife was the one that sent the letter. And if you read his contract, he has to send the letter. It has to be signed by him, and it has to go to 2 different people. And his wife sent the letter, not signed by him, and apparently only went to one of the 2 places that it needed to go anyway.
Okay.
So he claims, I'm still the coach.
Is he filing for divorce too?
Maybe she is. Don't know you. Could you imagine if this actually goes to a hearing? And obviously they got to put the wife on the stand. So did you send the letter? Did you send it on behalf of him? Or were you so angry with him that you just said, you know what? Screw him. I've put up with all this blankety blank for all these blankety blank years. You know what? You're done. I'm done with you. You're done. I'll tell you what. Can I do that questioning? I've watched enough Law and Order. Okay. I can handle this.
I'll make a bet with you, David. This never gets to a trial.
The university, meanwhile, said, really? And they released a 4-page, Jane, you ignorant. And they just went, point by point, line by line. Although there is a paragraph in there in which they said, well, even if you claim that you have to be the one to send the letter and you didn't, tough. We're counting it as from you. So there. I'm telling you, this is San Diego State and the Mountain West, which is going to a hearing next week. Also, later today, we're going to have that PGA Tour LIV Senate Subcommittee hearing. Connecticut's Richard Blumenthal is, I think, leading it up. He already released the first 4 paragraphs of his opening statement. Not that this is, for show or anything. I mean, this is to be taken very seriously. So seriously, apparently the PIF guy's not going to be there. Norman's not going to be there. And Jay Monahan's not going to be there. Which is funny because those are the 3 guys that the Senate subcommittee said they wanted there. So there. Not that this is a show or a sham or anything like that. This is not a PR stunt. There's some serious government business going on here. Yeah. If you're the Golf Channel, do you air this live? Can you call C-SPAN and go, hey, can we run the feed?
Yes. I would do it 100. They won't, but I would.
PGA Tour would be like, wait, you're going to run this? No. You're going to have 5 politicians up there. There's supposed to be about 23. 18 of them aren't going to show because they know it's a joke. You're going to have 5 politicians up there just bad-mouthing us. And at 8 minutes before the hour mark, that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So I've got to find C-SPAN to watch this?
Or C-SPAN 2. By the way, C-SPAN 2 or FS2, which do you think's easier to find? Or the CBS Sports Network?
David, I walked past the C-SPAN building in D.C. last week. They didn't even put C-SPAN 2 on the building. I think it's tougher to find C-SPAN 2.
And that's at the C-SPAN building.
Right.
Never mind on your cable system. Or whatever you have.
Exactly.
Could you imagine just me? Hey, call Roku and go, where the hell's my C-SPAN 2?
Is there an app for that? I want to download the C-SPAN app.
By the way, Felipe, is that another thing that you'd never heard of before, either C-SPAN or C-SPAN 2?
No, I've heard of C-SPAN.
How about C-SPAN 2?
Didn't know there was a C-SPAN 2.
There you go. Okay, put it on the list.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone. Downtown Naples. Bayfront Inn, Naples. When you need a ride, Salt Live Transportation. 308-886. Book on saltlifetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, we are good, and enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. I'll be back August 1st, but not in time to do the show, so not till the 8th.
Right.
Sorry about that.
That is quite all right.
No, well, I mean, it's
with all that we're giving you for this, we should really be
I was
pissed.
going to say, I mean, can't believe you would do this to us in the middle of our busy season like this. So this is unbelievable. Where are you going again?
I'm going to Germany and Austria to see Springsteen and then to Israel to visit my son.
Any concern with what's going on in Israel about visiting?
I'm more scared to take the subway in the city.
Well,
which I still do.
Yeah, well, I love the city, but we need to go back to broken windows.
It's not that I'm scared of Israel. It's definitely there's a lot going on there right now. That's for sure.
Well, that's all I'm saying. I mean, things are eventful. That's all.
Eventful.
Every 20, 30 years, things get eventful.
It sort of like bubbles up. Yes.
Right.
I feel we're in the middle of a bubble at the moment.
Very much so. Yes.
But I can't exactly be scared to go and be okay with my son being there, can I?
That's very true.
David, very quickly, because I heard you talk about how much of an athlete you are on the Levitard show yesterday. Ping pong, does it translate to pickleball? Like
I've never played pickleball.
Really?
But I need to get on the court. I've been asked to do it, and I haven't done it, but I will do it.
I think that you would dominate.
I am definitely thinking about it. Not thinking about it like it's a big deal. I just haven't gotten to it. It's been a bit of a busy stretch.
If you are as good at ping pong as you say you are, you would dominate it.
I mean, it's good. I am better than an ordinary rec player, and I'm not good enough to be on ESPN.
A happy medium.
Thank you for listening.
Did you ever have to take the ping pong table out of the Marlins clubhouse?
No, I would never do that. I only take things out of the clubhouse that I wasn't good at.
In my case, that would be the weight room.
True. The most dominant player for a non-baseball game was D. Gordon at Nerf basketball.
Oh.
Interesting.
Absolutely dominant. No one could beat him. I lost to him every single time in any game. One-on-one, horse, pig, anything.
Darren Pang, the hockey player, is a great ping pong player. Hockey announcer now. Great ping pong.
There's some good ones. Like Jeff Conine, I can't beat him. I've never been able to beat him, not one time.
So D. Gordon, instead of going to arbitration with you, he just wanted to play in hoop.
Exactly. We would definitely play for meal money.
I used to love watching D. Gordon. He was like Arias before Arias.
That's exactly right.
Yep. He was fun on the Marlins.
Better speed than Arias and a better defender.
Yes.
Better arm. I'm just not sure why he did steroids.
P.E.D. Gordon.
Yeah, considering what kind of player he was, exactly.
15 seconds.
After we had paid him, too.
Here we go.
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And the top of the 7 o'clock hour on a Tuesday means one David Samson. He of the daily Nothing Personal with David Samson podcast, which is broadcast live at 8 a.m., 5 days a week. You hear him on the Dan Le Batard Show as well. You can follow him on Twitter at David P. Samson, David the letter P. Samson. And this will be our last time talking for 3-4 weeks since you're going to go on a well-deserved vacation. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
How are you? I'm deciding when to add threads to my bio. I haven't decided yet.
So you've opened your Threads account. You just haven't put it on the bio yet?
Correct. It's open, it's active, but it's like adding another compulsion. So I check it and try to post there from time to time, but I haven't yet gotten to the point where it becomes part of the bio.
Well, let us know. You have vacation to decide. By August 8th, damn it, we need to know.
The question is whether Threads will still be around. Although I did hear that you can't deactivate your account because then it deactivates your Instagram account. So they really did get you.
Funny how that works. Hey, I'm sure you had to deal with this. So the Marlins just decided with Yuri Perez, he's 20 years old. We'll worry about his innings. So they send him to the minors where, David, help me out here. He's going to pitch. But they're going to limit why can't they do that at the majors? He's getting everybody out.
One of the great debates I ever had with my GM was having him try to explain to me the difference between an inning pitched in the minor leagues versus an inning pitched in a simulated game versus an inning pitched in the big leagues. And the only thing that I was ever told is, David, you don't realize it's the stress difference. It's a completely different feeling of adrenaline. Young players can lose their mechanics, and then that can lead to injury, or they can get knocked around or beaten around, and that could impact their well-being. And I always said, but they only have a certain number of pitches before the next Tommy John. What are we doing here? On the other hand, they convinced me every time. Because I did go to minor league games and watch our team. There is a difference. There's a difference in the atmosphere. Don't make an attendance joke here. There really is.
Well, you were leading me right to one, David. I hate to say it. I mean, they're playing in front of just a few more people than Oakland is right now.
I totally hear you, and that's another conversation that I had with our baseball people. But I was assured that there is a difference. So with Yuri Perez, he's already going to hit his innings limit. They need him because they believe they're playing in October. So I absolutely understand and agree what they're doing. On the other hand, it would be very disappointing as a Marlins fan if the Marlins, through their tough schedule the rest of July and August, if they lose their playoff position with Yuri not there because of their pitching is not as dominant, or they don't have that once every 5 days, hey, we're going to win this game, that would be a problem.
Their schedule in August is brutal. I literally would be okay if they said, we're going to shut him down for 2 weeks. And beginning with the July 31st series against the Phillies, he's going back in the rotation. He's going to pitch 6 more times. They pitch him for the month of August, and they shut him down. I literally would be okay with that. This, to me, pitching the innings in Jacksonville instead of Miami, to me, is almost asinine.
I had a conversation also very often about opponent pitching, where our owner would want certain pitchers to pitch against certain teams. He always wanted to beat the Mets, always wanted to win NL East games because it counts as 2 in the standings. You win 1, they lose 1 if you beat your opponent in your division. And I try to convince the owner every time, a win's a win. We don't want to change the rotation. We don't want these pitchers to get out of their routines. But he would screw around the rotation from time to time and switch who would pitch the first game of a doubleheader or the second game of the doubleheader, or keep a pitcher back so we can face the Mets, let's say. So we lost some of those arguments, but at the end of the day, winning is winning, and while August is a tough schedule, I'm not going to change my handling of a young player to make sure that he's around for what I perceive to be a tough part of the schedule.
Hey, obviously no Ohtani, no Judge in the home run derby last night, but I still give last night an A. I'm curious what grade you give last night's exhibition, if you will.
I don't love the camera angles that we have. I want to enjoy it more. I found myself by mistake. I was streaming it, and I was on the wrong streaming channel, so I was looking at all these stats and watching yellow ribbons in the air, yellow lines, and then I got to the main. I think that the problem with the minutes and not the outs is you see what happened to Rosarena, excuse me. You get tired. The way he swings, I cannot tell you enough. John Carlos Stanton said to me, David, when I was with him at the home run derbies, this is so exhausting. And not that anyone should feel sorry for the players, but what Vladimir did last night by going back-to-back rounds from semis to finals, it is awe-inspiring because he was tired in the first round. And the other thing about a home run derby that people don't talk enough about, it's really about your pitcher. I don't know if you noticed, but Garcia's pitcher for the Rangers, I felt terribly for him. He couldn't get the ball over the plate. And when that happens, you have absolutely no chance.
Yep, the batting practice pitcher, when he's grooving them, okay, those guys can hit them. It's like a golfer gets in a rhythm on the range, and you can just, go through a whole bucket, and you are fine. Can we switch gears here? So the Northwestern situation. Let me just throw a possibility out there. Pat Fitzgerald's been with Northwestern football for over half his adult life. Let's just say Northwestern has had a culture and it hasn't changed. Okay. I'm just wondering, we go through this all the time, David. First off, do we always have to fire somebody? Number one. Okay. And number two, sports is different than the real world. It is. When we start putting real world guidelines on the locker room in the sports world's not going to hold up very well. I'm not in any way, trying to explain the behavior that is allegedly taking place at Northwestern. But with those two things thrown out there, one, A, do we always have to fire somebody? And B, if we put real world behavior guidelines on a locker room, the locker room's always going to look really bad.
So I want to be very careful here because I understand what you're saying, but I think that we have to realize that times have changed and you can't do that anymore. You can't use the "we are a locker room" excuse. The same way in Hollywood, you can't use "we are a movie set" excuse. Those things just don't exist anymore, nor should they ever have existed, but they certainly did. There was a time when there were no women in the locker room at all. And
yeah,
then
but that was in the early to mid 70s, but I hear you.
But by the way, okay. So we'll look back on this in the 2050s and say, can you believe what was going on in the 2010s or the 2020s? I absolutely understand what you're saying, but at Northwestern, the real problem that Fitzgerald had, and I covered it yesterday, I'm going to cover it again today in about 51 minutes, is that the investigation, if in fact it found that he didn't know, which is beyond credibility to me. As a head coach of the team, you know exactly what running a player is. You know exactly what happens when players are clapping their hands. It's the same as saying that A.J. Hinch had no idea about the garbage can and the sign stealing. It is not credible. Then you go to the GM, and you look at Jeff Lunau of the Astros. He's claimed to this day, I had no idea. And the answer is you should have known. I don't believe that he didn't know because I'm the team president and I would have known if there's a garbage can stealing. If I'm the owner, I would have known that there's garbage can banging and sign stealing. So for him to claim he didn't know, should have known is enough to get you fired because it means that you are not capable of leading an organization of young men because they are doing things that you're not aware of that have a deleterious impact on people. It's like a code red in A Few Good Men. I pictured Fitzgerald like Nathan Jessup. Is it possible that that is the way it should be because that saves lives? Son, I'm in the business of saving lives. Yes, that's possible, but we got to find a better way to win games, right? Running players helps us win games and puts out great young men. You got to find a better way.
Any other impressions? Because that was a pretty good jack right there. I've got to admit that was, you caught me off guard. I knew where you were going, but you
want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
See, that's not a good
that was really not that great.
Deep.
You have to have the Samson deep voice, which is from talking all day long. So you have to do the deep voice. Then you do a little nasally, right? Which I'm nasally to begin with because I've been sick for 3 weeks, holed up here in Miami. So you combine it. That may be the first time I've been able to do a good impression. All the stars are aligned right now.
How many times have you done that scene?
I do that a lot. I actually do that at work and at home. It is a great way, not the code red, but the actual scene is a great way when you're with their kids and you're doing something that they don't understand and you're trying to explain it, or when you want them to tell you the truth and you say, you can't handle the truth, right? And you just go back and forth. Few Good Men is a great one. I showed my kids that movie for the first time, and it's one of the few crossover movies. Normally when I want to show them like a John Hughes movie, they'll look at it and just say, I'm not watching this, I don't care about this. But A Few Good Men actually translates generation to generation.
I asked Mark yesterday, we did a little role play. I was Bruce Sherman. He was my trusted advisor. And I told him I was freaking out because we had the biggest series that we've had in arguably the history of this stadium. And we drew less than 18,000 on average. And I'm really panicking and wondering whether or not I've made a bad investment and this is ever going to work. And Mark tried to tell me that next year, we have to judge this year on next year. Who's right?
Mark is 100% right. Attendance is a lagging indicator. When you have a good year, you sell into that good year. They're not going to get more season ticket holders right now. And the reason why attendance is low is they have a low season ticket base. So what you hope to do is have a successful season, start this renewal process in August, the sales process September, October, sell through the off season, add to the team, come in next year with great buzz, have a great February, March selling season, and then go from 5,000 season ticket holders to 10,000. And then all of a sudden, which is hard to do, but then all of a sudden your minimum attendance every day is that 10,000 number. And that's when you can see the increases.
We won't talk to you for nearly a month. Will the Marlins still be a playoff team when we talk to you next?
They will certainly still be in the playoff race. I don't know if they'll have the pole position because it's really hard to go wire to wire, and there's good teams behind them. Watch for the Phillies. But that said, the Marlins pitching even without Uri, and they're hitting. They've gotten clutch hits. They're scoring runs. Arias will not be at 400, but that doesn't mean he's not an effective leadoff guy or an MVP candidate, losing to Acuna. But they will still be in the conversation.
Will Ohtani still be an angel when we talk to you?
Boy, if Artie Moreno, that's the question of the day. If Artie Moreno was smart, he would trade Ohtani and talk to him first and say, we're going to trade you to a contender. You're welcome, but make sure that we get the last look for a new contract.
David Samson, nothing personal with David Samson. He records it at 8 a.m. every day. You can follow him on Twitter at David, the letter P, Samson, David P. Samson. David, safe travels. Be well. We'll talk to you soon.
Looking forward. Take care.
David Samson, kind enough to join us once again, Mark.
Right here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
great segment.
So our hotel in DC was literally across the street from the International Brotherhood of Teamsters.
Okay.
Every morning we'd walk out. Jake, without hesitating, "Hey, Jim." And on the back side of the building, his name was on the building. It had like whoever the director of the Teamsters was when they got that building, and then all the board of directors. And it does say James R. Hoffa etched right in the building.
Did you see the Fox roundtable about what the Angels should do with Ohtani?
I did not.
Jeter, Ortiz, and A-Rod. Jeter went first, and he laughed about that. He said, "Oh, thanks for throwing this to me first." But he said, I just don't know if I could be the guy who traded him. He goes, I don't think I could do it. I really don't. And Ortiz said, when I played, the Angels were a really good team and they were really tough, but they were more than a two-man team. They were deep. And he started talking about the layers that the Angels had. He said, I think they need to, stop being so top heavy. And A-Rod just flat out said, okay, they need to trade Ohtani, which will lead to them trading Trout, which will lead to them. And then what else did he say? I think Moreno selling the team, I think, was the third thing he said. But he said, and he said if they traded Ohtani and Trout, they'd have a much better chance of winning a World Series before the decade was out than if they kept them. And Kevin Burkhardt said, well, A-Rod, I'd like to thank you for the destruction of the Los Angeles Angels. All right. When we come back, we'll have A-Rod talk more about where the franchise will relocate. But it was a good 2-3 minute discussion. And Ortiz and A-Rod did not hold back.
And ironically, Jeter did, huh?
Well, but Jeter said, I don't know. He goes, you're trading them with half a season left. He said, I don't know if you think you can get what, you think you can get. He goes, and besides that, who's in a position to give it up? I mean, Jeter basically said, I think it's too late.
Trade him to Tampa. Let Tampa run him. No, they'd never sign him.
Would people in Miami go if they traded for him?
Would people in Tampa go if they traded for him?
I think they would. Now, problem is they limited their attendance to 25,000.
Yeah, but you could change that overnight. That you could snap your fingers and change that.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
"21 past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 46, 51, and 58 are the magic numbers. 46 day to week 0. Notre Dame and USC are involved in 2 of the 7 games taking place on the final Saturday of August. 51 days away from week 1 of the college football season getting underway. Gators in the showcase game of the night against Utah. UCF taking on Kent State, their first game as a member of the Big 12. It's not a Big 12 game, but they're in the Big 12. And, 8 weeks Thursday. Lions and Chiefs. Still doesn't seem real that the Lions are in the season opener, does it?
No. As a Michigander who has watched bad Lion football his entire life, this is not something that makes sense to me.
I also feel as if they're being set up a little bit. Don't they open with like Kansas City and Seattle? You know, they could be 0-2. They could be a good team and be 0-2. I mean, that's the other thing. It's kind of like, we're a good team. You could lose those games each by 1 score and still be a good team. I'm just going to throw this out there about Seattle. A year ago at this time, do you know what the Eagles were? The Eagles were a team that went 9-8, that won the tiebreaker to get in as the 7 seed in the NFC. They went on the road and got absolutely shellacked in Tampa. Do you know what the Seahawks are at this time? They went 9-8.
9-8 team that snuck in the playoffs with a tiebreaker
over Detroit, who they had beaten head-to-head. They went on the road to San Francisco and got absolutely shellacked. Now, the Eagles had a really good offseason last year. I think the Lions have had a pretty good offseason. Not, they didn't make an A.J. Brown type acquisition, but I think, I think there's a chance that Seattle's if you can have a playoff team that's, under the radar, just saying, I think Seattle's a live play this year. That's all I'm saying.
That week 2 game, Seattle at Detroit, could be significant.
Yeah. Could determine who hosts when they play each other in the playoffs even. So who knows?
But the Seahawks, you are right. They are clearly the most under the radar playoff team. Maybe the Vikings, because no one's given the Vikings any chance.
I know.
I mean, you think about the NFC. The Giants are thought of more highly than the Vikings. Obviously, they beat them in the postseason, but the Vikings had a hell of a regular season, and the Giants are more highly thought of.
Poor Justin Jefferson. So he's asked by somebody hey, who's your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL? And I don't know if the person who asked him had that accent or not. I don't know why I went there. Okay. But Justin Jefferson was asked to send out a list of his top 5 quarterbacks. And so he did. And Kirk Cousins wasn't on the list. Well, Mark, outside of the Cousins household, is Kirk Cousins on anybody's top 5 quarterback list?
Nope.
Hell, Vikings fans wouldn't even make him one of their 5 best quarterbacks today. I don't mean in franchise history. I mean on the roster today. They hate him so much. And so Jefferson's getting all this grief because, well, you didn't list your own quarterback as top 5 quarterback. And he's trying to look at him like,
dude,
Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, who do you want me to take off the list? Okay.
So speaking of Joe Burrow, we're going back to Pittsburgh for Christmas. It was not my decision. I had nothing to do with this decision.
We never did.
I wasn't even asked about this decision.
Hell, we bought a condo. I wasn't even asked.
Tickets have been purchased, so I know I'm going. But the only thing I know is that they play Cincinnati at home. on the weekend before Christmas. So
Okay.
I'll probably get my Joe Burrow fix in.
Yeah. All right.
You
There
know, the
you
team I picked to win the Super Bowl, the
I
Cincinnati
know.
Bengals.
I can't believe you did that during the spring, too. Man, you are feeling it.
It's all because he's not a Swiftie.
Man, are you this gullible when it comes to politics too? Like if a politician comes through town and has pizza at your favorite pizza place, or you're like, oh, that's who I'm voting for.
No, but I
Oh.
can be a one item, a one agenda person.
Right, a one issue voter.
Yeah, I can be a one issue voter on occasion. And in this occasion, that one issue is that he's not a Swift, and he had enough to
Guts.
say it.
Right.
By the way, he said that he might stop by. From my findings, he did not stop by.
You know why? Because he's Joe Burrow, and he can do whatever he wants in Cincinnati.
Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you have for us?
Well, this time of the year, you thank the heavens for Wimbledon. And Wimbledon is where we go. We had a massive upset yesterday. Chris Eubanks, the only American man left in the tournament, took down the 5th-ranked player in the world, Stefanos Tsitsipas, in a 5-set thriller.
Match point. That is a triumph of perseverance and willpower over the years.
A triumph of willpower over the years in a match that lasted 3 hours.
Nori, but this victory over Tsitsipas surpasses that, because this takes him into the Wimbledon quarterfinal.
Eubanks with some words on making the quarterfinal.
Everything from realizing that I have 2 credentials at Wimbledon for the rest of my life, to checking my phone and seeing my name as an ESPN alert, to realizing how much I disliked grass at the beginning of the grass court season, to now look at where I am. Like, there's just so many different ways I could go about it, but I just think the entire experience altogether has just been a whirlwind, and it's been, something that you dream about. But I think for me, I didn't really know if that dream would actually come true, and I'm sitting here in it now, so it's pretty cool.
That's your Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Clutch with a K.
I think he's older than
He is.
Tsitsipas also. We're just now beginning to hear about him, but I think he's 27 years old.
He has 1 singles title in his career. He has a 21-33 record overall versus Tsitsipas, who has a 281-131. He's got 9 singles titles. That's a big upset.
It is.
And that is an American upset.
I know.
Very much.
Coming up on the 20th anniversary of the last American man to win a Grand Slam, Andy Roddick at the 03 Open. 20 years. 20 years. Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable if you would just put it on the surface, but the fact is there's been no one close. We've had no one to get fired up about.
No,
There's been no disappointments. No, but I mean, past Roddick, it's not like there's been an American man who's like, it's this guy. Ooh, it's this guy. No, there's been nobody.
Well,
no.
like football, it is a Euro-dominated sport.
Right,
but it wasn't.
It was
It's a big
Australian.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
We dominated the sport for decades.
Yes. U.S. and Australia dominated tennis all through the 80s. All through the 80s. Remember, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. I mean, that's all 21st century there. But all right, Chris Eubanks, way to go. Got 2 American women in the quarters. So, all right, let's see. Who knows?
The Wimbledon quarterfinal.
He went Australian there on us. I got a koala bear all of a sudden on the show.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I think RCB, I think tennis always was a rich person sport. It's just that I think the Tiger effect had the rich kid play golf instead of tennis.
By the way, I will say, Felipe, that is your very mature look right there when you put those glasses on. That's very young professional.
Yeah, you look like you're a middle school English teacher.
Yes.
Wow.
That's very much
maybe social studies.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that these are new. I needed a new pair of glasses, and I got a pair of glasses. So I don't have to wear freaking contacts every day. I was told that I look like a father.
No.
I'm very happy that.
No.
Middle school English teacher.
Yes.
I'll take that.
And you look like you were hired last Wednesday. Yes.
Very much like my daughter's teacher this past year. Just fresh out of college.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Hearst, I mean, they gave me this. They gave me a North Face backpack. They gave me a nice tote bag. They gave me a bunch of stuff. Give me a lunchbox. I'm like, wow.
Who gave you the shirt?
Where did I get this shirt? I think this was when I was an intern in this building. I think my last day they gave me this shirt.
By the way, RCB, tennis seems to have become a rich person sport. It's a country club sport. Golf, tennis. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I said to him. I said the Tiger factor, I think, turned more kids into golf than it did tennis of the last generations.
Yes, I would agree with that. Although, Mark, with all the golf people that you're close to, Tiger did not produce the increase in rounds that they thought that Tiger would produce. I mean, the pandemic did more to produce an increase in rounds of golf than the Tiger phenomenon did.
By the way, I just want to say tennis is so freaking hard. Tennis is one of the hardest sports, period. I'd say golf is just, edges tennis, but it's not by much.
Golf's not a sport.
Golf's not a sport.
Competition.
It's an
Fat
activity.
guys.
Some people say it's an activity.
So is tennis harder than golf?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
Ooh.
Do you know the shape you've got to be in to play tennis?
I agree. I've had this debate many times, actually. I think that tennis is one of the most physically demanding sports. You know, it's not just athleticism, it's stamina.
Okay. All right. Go back to your social studies lesson.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Thanks for playing.
I love tennis. It's a great
All right.
sport.
That's you and 7 other people under the age of 40.
Oh, man. When does Wimbledon start? 30 minutes? Okay, great.
Yeah, see, they're down to the quarters now. They don't have to start as early.
Ah, it's true. Sad. Nothing was greater than Winter Olympics. Oh my gosh. Coming here at 5:30 a.m. and bobsledding's on. Oh, there's a hockey game. Ten seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Daniel Wallach will join us 1 hour from now. A couple of things. We booked him intending to talk about the state of Florida and sports betting and A, what legally really happened here, and B, where's it going to go from here? And then the whole Pat Fitzgerald Northwestern thing escalated. So we have a couple things we can talk to the co-host of Conduct Detrimental, Daniel Wallach, about coming up 1 hour from now.
In case you're just joining us, Pat Fitzgerald, in case you're just hearing it, which I doubt by now, but Pat Fitzgerald went from a 2-week suspension to a firing.
Right. After a 6-month investigation. So
that led to the 2-week suspension.
Right. And then the president conducted a 48 to 72 hour investigation and fired him. Huh. He should get his money back for that 6-month investigation.
Well, we don't know, because we're not going to be privy to any part of the investigation.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Fitzgerald was 2 years into a $57 million contract. I think we're going to find out all the details. Unless Northwestern's willing to settle.
There you go. There you go. Private university has the ability to just pay him off. And somehow I think Northwestern's a school that has that kind of money to do so.
I made this statement in the first hour. Northwestern is about to become the worst Power 5 program in the country. Mark, I'm not saying that lightly. I'm not saying that in defense of Pat Fitzgerald. I'm just looking at the facts of life in big-time college athletics today and where Northwestern is at. In the pandemic year of 2020, Pat Fitzgerald had a halftime lead on Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. Since then, Northwestern has won 4 games. 1 or 2 in the Big Ten. Even though, like, they had 4 guys drafted off last year's team, by the way, that went 1-11. I mean, it's not like they didn't have some good players, but it wasn't working. And he already made a radical change at coordinators, and he was going to do some things differently. But Northwestern invested in facilities. They don't have an established NIL program, number one. Two, it's a school with not a lot of students and not a ton of alumni. Now, they're well-to-do, but they don't have nearly the alumni that most major universities have in terms of numbers. And three, the alumni have not indicated that they're willing to play the NIL game. Four, it's a really difficult school to get into. And because of it, Mark, five, the transfer portal. Northwestern is a tough place to transfer into and be eligible to play within a semester. It just is. You know, Stanford has struggled when the last couple of years, David Shaw's method, okay, which worked for well over a decade, stopped working, and it stopped working cold. Now, the new coach has come in at Stanford, reportedly is making inroads in the recruiting trail. Great. But Mark, like, I'm curious, the Vandys, the Northwesterns, the Stanfords of the world, even Duke, football anyway, are they going to be able to benefit in the transfer portal? I mean, smart kids want to transfer too. Okay, schools can make allowances to let in an average or above average student if he plays a position of need. Let's be honest. Notre Dame is playing the transfer game. But by all indications right now, Vandy, Duke, Northwestern, and Stanford are having a really hard time in the transfer game. Mark,
I don't see how that changes unless those schools make severe concessions academically, which is against everything that those schools stand for.
Correct.
Regardless if you're an athlete or not.
And I think that Northwestern is, you know, all the jokes about Vandy, you know, their place in the SEC and what have you. And also, is the Big Ten, we're doing away with divisions. Where was Northwestern? They were in the easier Western Division. They were competing with Wisconsin and with Iowa, and Wisconsin's an excellent program, but come on now. They're not playing Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State every year. Now they're one of 16. Throw the teams up in the air, you play who you play. You know, Northwestern, you look at their record head-to-head against Iowa. I think Pat Fitzgerald had a winning record against Iowa. You know, he made sure he beat Illinois and Indiana. He had a winning record against Minnesota. You know, he beat Wisconsin 5 times, I think, in his time as head coach. You know, he doesn't get to play that game anymore. Obviously, they've been up, you know, they had no problems beating Nebraska most of their stay. So, Mark, I think Northwestern is about to become the Kansas football of Power 5 football. I really do. Like, I think they would finish last in the Big 12. There's not a Power 5 conference that I don't think Northwestern wouldn't be picked last in for the rest of the decade. That's how down I believe Northwestern football is about to go.
I agree with everything that you said. And I think maybe the biggest exclamation point on it is the fact that they're going away from divisions. Every middle of the rung to down rung schools, now instead of having that once every 4 years, you could kind of build up and maybe make a run at your division. Those days are almost gone for the Northwesterns of the world. Whether Fitzgerald was there in these problems and the hazing had happened or not. He's coming off of 1-11 and 3-9. Things were not going well already at Northwestern. And now you have this. So this year's a wash. Next year's largely a wash.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the next 30 days, as we just saw with West Virginia basketball. Kids have 30 days where they can get up and leave, no questions asked. Now, it is mid-July. A, how many players does Northwestern have that other schools would want? B, how many schools actually have scholarships available? C, let's be honest. If you're playing football at Northwestern, you're probably not thinking about a career in the NFL. And so when you're done at Northwestern, what are you going to have? You're going to have a degree from Northwestern. That looks really good out in the real world. So I don't know if there's going to be a lot of kids transfer from Northwestern football. But I do know they've got 30 days where they can get up and leave, no questions asked.
And you just wonder how the new coach is going to be able with even if no one leaves. You know, the entire team supposedly signed a letter claiming that Fitzgerald knew nothing. He was undoubtedly their beloved leader. And there's no way whoever comes in is going to have the same gravitas that Fitzgerald had with that team.
There'll be a whole new staff in there next year, even if the interim guy who's new to the program, he came from North Dakota State 6 months ago, even if they decide to give him the gig full time going forward. Well, he didn't hire any of these assistants. He's going to bring in largely a whole new staff. So I'll have a whole new staff.
And they're going to want a whole new staff. If you're going to change the culture, you have to change the culture.
And I would think if it's too late for a bunch of kids to leave now, I do think that they will have quite a few kids that leave after this year. These kids will have 6 months to a year to line things up as to where they want to go, both athletically and academically. So I think Northwestern football is about to become a punchline. They're about to become Kansas football.
It really is a shame, though. I mean, they have their own football stadium that's a hop, skip, and a jump away from a gorgeous campus.
Well, and the football facilities that they built on campus, I mean, they border Lake Michigan. It's gorgeous. I mean, if you were to bring in a kid on a recruiting visit and he had an open mind to all of the schools in the country, and he was going to pick his schools based on facilities, Northwestern would have a shot to get any kid in the country.
Yes.
Absolutely gorgeous.
It really is a shame. There's potential, I think.
No.
In that regard.
No.
Not
when you're talking about the academic standards that there are to get into that school. If there was potential, it would have already been reached.
And
Pat
NIL.
Fitzgerald did everything that could be done with that school.
And NIL. I mean, who was it? Was it Loxley of Maryland? Somebody from Maryland was quoted a couple of weeks ago as saying it's all about NIL. Kids will play in a dump for $5,000 more a year.
Yep. Facilities don't matter anymore.
Yep. That basically we made a mistake. And listen, Miller and Moulton are wrong about it a lot. I thought Fitzgerald, no way he was getting fired. I thought they were going to turn 2 weeks into 2 games. So I couldn't be more wrong about this story. And hopefully I'm wrong about the future of Northwestern football. But we were pounding.
Point, just for instance, Ohio State's enrollment is just over 53,000. Northwestern's enrollment is just over 8,200.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This is a small school.
I think Wake Forest is the only Power 5 school with lower enrollment. Vandy's close.
So they got a lot of things working against them in the 2020s, and they're not playing the NIL game. And I'm not sure this school will. And if they're not going to play the NIL game and they're a tough place to transfer into, I mean, think about it. Think about all of us who went to college. How are your grades? You know, your sophomore, junior year, thinking of transferring. What'd your grades look like? You know, you had to put your, send it to it. Now you got to send it to Northwestern. How's your academic resume look? How many of your classes you think they're going to look at and go, oh, yeah, we'll transfer those credits?
And most of the time they're transferring not only down school-wise, but down academic-wise. Not up academic-wise.
So not that, there's a whole ton of people that are going to, get teary-eyed about the future of Northwestern football, but I'm telling you, it's going to get really bad. And we have wondered, will there come a point in time in which the conferences start weeding out their own? What the ACC is thinking of doing here with, certain schools making more money based on performance. Well, when do you think Ohio State starts looking at the Big Ten and going, why should we get the same share as Northwestern? Somebody want to justify that to me? And so let's face it. I mean, there's a lot of greed in this world. I mean, you really think Ohio State's married to Northwestern, that if given a chance for more money, they wouldn't kick Northwestern out of the Big Ten? And I'm not just, saying this about Ohio State. I think Michigan and USC and
USC, absolutely.
I think 6 other schools would be like, well, if it means us making, $5 million more a year, yeah, I'd kick them out. Not married to them. I mean, that day could come in the SEC too. I mean, we joked, why is Vandy in the SEC? For their academic reputation, and they're a win.
$21,000. That's the text line 21000 on the Northwestern situation, the home run derby, or anything else we've talked about today. You can text the show at any time.
Of course.
But we shall see what this does with Northwestern football, and we don't see it being very good.
I do need to point out, I was talking about how Northwestern, from a recruiting standpoint, if it was based on facilities, that's, of course, if you don't bring them from Thanksgiving to St. Patrick's Day.
Good point.
Okay. I do think Evanston might be a hard sell in January. That's all I'm saying. July, wow. Even October, look at the foliage. It's a beautiful lake. It's amazing. January, goodness. Can Canada next this place already?
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles Or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, David, and like you said, that practice football field is right on Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Antarctica in January. I mean,
Yep.
what kind of equipment do they need to bring in to clear that field for people to walk on that field?
Fortunately, they don't play football in January, but yeah.
Yeah, these satellite images are very deceiving because it is the middle of the summertime in all of these. So I guess the coast of Illinois is just one of the many beauties of America in the summertime. isn't it?
No.
No? It looks gorgeous.
No. It's a city. There's not much coast, Illinois.
Well, like, what is
I'll
this,
take the
Everton?
Michigan coastline or the Wisconsin coastline or.
By the way, DC, who are you yelling at? You yelling at us?
I don't know.
I don't know. You're very fired up here.
Yelling
You
at
guys are idiots. Who are you guys? Us?
maybe Northwestern. So the Michigan coastline on Lake Superior is gorgeous, I assume.
What's that?
The Michigan coastline along, like the northern coastline along Lake Superior.
Michigan coastline's beautiful.
Yeah.
All up the whole west coast of Michigan, like from Muskegon north, is gorgeous.
Damn.
I mean, there's more coastline in Michigan than there is in Florida.
There is.
Oh, gotcha, DC. By the way, they're not talking about kicking out Northwestern. We're just saying it's a hypothetical that we think 10 or so years down the road that we think conferences are going to be going, we might be too big. Maybe we're splitting this pie too many ways. Got anything here?
Not really.
Okay.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We're just halfway home. For those in the 239, as the bonus hour is 1 hour away. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You know, Mark, between Pat Fitzgerald being fired by Northwestern, Bob Huggins' shenanigans at West Virginia, I didn't send in that resignation letter. My wife did. And I don't give her the authority to do anything. I'm still the coach, damn it. I'm going to show up for work a week from Wednesday. You guys better not have touched a thing in my office. It's got the All-Star game and all. It's really taken some attention away from, I thought this was going to be a bigger story that it's turning out to being, which is the hearing today in Washington. You were just in D.C. You were walking around the buildings. All right. The PGA Tour, the Saudis. Going to have to answer some questions. Hey, well, what do you think of this opening statement, by the way? Richard Blumenthal. 4 paragraphs. I'll just go one at a time here. Today's hearing is about much more than the game of golf. There you go. That's strong. It's about how a brutal, repressive regime can buy influence, indeed even take over a cherished American institution simply to cleanse its public interest or public image. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, he's going there.
Oh, boy.
Uh-huh.
I threw up in my mouth a little bit with that second sentence, David. I'm not going to lie to you.
A regime that has killed journalists, jailed and tortured dissidents, fostered the war in Yemen, and supported other terrorist activities, including 9/11. It's called sports washing. It's also about hypocrisy, about how vast sums of money can induce individuals and institutions to betray their own values and supporters, or perhaps reveal lack of values from the beginning. I have a question. Is he talking about Congress or the PGA Tour?
That's what I have been. You could take out regime and put Congress in damn near every time and still be speaking true statements.
I'm going to read that sentence again, and you tell me. It is also about hypocrisy and how vast sums of money can induce individuals and institutions to betray their own values and supporters, or perhaps reveal a lack of values from the beginning.
Man, is that open-ended.
Wow. I mean, do you get fired if you're on the staff? If you go, Senator, I really don't think you should go there. Oh, why not? You're a member of the United States Senate. Your guys' credibility is a little low right now. Just saying. I'm not saying it's you, Senator. I'm saying it's all the others. Right. It's about other sports and institutions that could fall prey if their leaders let it be all about the money. Okay. Can we just stop there? I'm only halfway through. I don't know if I can go any further.
I don't think you can.
Okay, because my side's hurting and I'm about ready to go on a coughing fit. So, can we talk about this one part of it, though? Whether it's Saudi, whether it's China, it's just foreign money in sports. Do we have a problem with it? Are we going to have a problem? Because like the NBA has already said 20%. That whoever can 20%. We're not going to let them own the majority, but if they want to buy 20% of a team and network that broadcasts it, whatever, yeah, sure, fine, 20%. And the Saudis already said they're doing what, 5% of the Wizards and Caps?
Yes,
right. And obviously that'll go higher. They're just getting in. They're getting in at 5%. And I'm just curious, does anybody, and this, I don't want it to lead into the wider discussion, but obviously can be brought up. You and I even mentioned it during a commercial break. We were talking about getting on TikTok. And, I mentioned some of the reservations that people have with TikTok. And then you said, well, do we have those same reservations about buying up real estate in this country? And obviously, for 50 years, we've allowed, that to happen. Well, now this is the first time in our country that we're going to allow major foreign money to buy our leagues and teams. And so far, the indication is, show me the money. Show me the money.
You know what I was thinking about, David, as far as buying into, because I brought this up, I think, during a commercial break before I was on vacation. There was an article in The Athletic with athletic directors from 4 universities that were anonymous sources. What would happen if the PIF money tried to influence college athletics?
Right.
And 2 of the ADs were adamant. This will never happen. Our institutions stand for more than just money. And 2 ADs were like, yeah, I don't know how you'd stop it. So let's just take our state here.
I got the school.
I'm probably going to going to the same place you are.
Go for it.
They got a brand new stadium that's being built on campus.
Bingo. Same place.
They are clearly number 5. And there is a canyon now that has been created between 4 and 5.
Yep.
South Florida.
What if all of a sudden foreign investment picks up the phone and calls the University of South Florida and says, what do you need? Honestly, what do you need?
Need facilities? Need NIL?
Need
NIL?
NIL?
What is it you need?
Right. How about this?
And it's NIL. And we've come down to it. That these ADs all know, these coaches all know, for a few $1,000s, player is going from school A to school B for the money.
Yeah. What's the going rate? We'll pay 20% more. Have you seen what we did in golf?
Hell, we'll pay 50% more. We're going to make sure that you get the best recruiting classes for the next 3 years.
Yep.
Because we're going to pay for them.
Damn right we are. And it's legal. Because that's the school, and I don't just specifically mean South Florida, but that is the type of school that is most ripe. It's either a bottom feeder in a Power 5 conference, or it's the school that's on the list of the next 10 that are in the quote-unquote group of 5 that are, boy, if they ever had their act together, they probably should be a Power 5 school. Like, quite frankly, San Diego State.
Boise.
South Florida. What would you do? You're the president, you're the AD. They call you up. They go, what do you need? Well, we need this and this and this and this.
Done.
Go, oh, okay.
That's all? Are you
Wow.
sure that's it?
I thought this was going to cost a lot of money. Do you guys take Venmo? How do you want to do this? I mean, I could come over with a couple suitcases. I mean, but I'd prefer to do this electronically. And that to me is the part of today, because I think today's, a show, and I don't know if Congress can stop this because of the hypocrisy and the appearance. I do think it's interesting as to whether or not, because if this was a business deal, which this is, we have stopped business deals in the past because of the monopoly that it was going to create. And remember, the reason we have phone service the way we have it in our country now is because Congress broke up Bell Telephone back in the 70s.
We'd still be on a rotary phone dialing right now.
Exactly. And by the way, Felipe, you can put that on the list. Bell Telephone. You have no idea what we're talking about. Put that on your list at the end of the show. That's a new feature of Miller and Moulton. Felipe at the end of the show is going to, unlike PTI and what have you, when they let him know all the things they got wrong or what have you. Felipe is going to let us know all the things he didn't know about. Okay.
Used a rotary phone before, though. I will say.
Yeah, well, I understand, but you didn't
Really?
realize.
Yeah.
Wow. But
That's
you didn't.
impressive.
Yeah, you didn't realize it was provided by Ma Bell, though. Yes. Look it up. So anyway, so that to me is the interesting part of this, the foreign money, because now it's starting to happen. And it's one thing for it to happen in the Premier League, Formula One, even tennis, because tennis is not in this country. Right now we could give a damn. To be brutally honest, we could give a damn about tennis in this country, especially now that the Williams sisters are done. Honestly, we don't care about tennis in this country at all. We don't. They care about it in New York in 2 months for 2 weeks. That's it.
And if it weren't for that tournament, we wouldn't care about it in this country at all. That's the only thing propping it up.
So now they're starting with golf, but also now they're getting into the NBA. And if they're getting into the NBA, I mean, Mark, if you're running the NHL, can you really not? I mean, talk about a league that needs money. Talk a players association that would love for salaries to go up. I mean, the rest of the sports, the NBA is close to a $10 billion industry. Baseball's 11 to 12 billion. NFL's 20. Hockey's like 4.
And I think they would all take the money. But the most fascinating part of this is what happens when it comes to the college game.
You going to disown your alma mater? You going to pull your kid out of school? Seriously, you're that upset, you're that appalled, just say you can't get your degree there. I'm not sending them my money. Sorry, you got to transfer. I don't care. Don't care who you're dating. Don't care how many friends you have. Nope, I'm out. Nope. You can pay for yourself then, because nope, they're not getting my money. How bent out of shape are we going to get about this? Because Miller and Moulton have argued for a long time now. We've stopped getting bent out of shape. There's fake outrage all the time. There's fake Twitter outrage all over our society. Real outrage, there's virtually none of it.
That fake outrage voice there had a little Regis Philbin in it. Or
Thank
fake
you.
Regis, yeah.
I'm out of control.
21,000 is the text line. What happens when the Saudi money comes to our sports? How are you going to take it? Would you disown your team?
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686. Or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you see Super 70 Sports yesterday? Mark?
Yes.
Did you see Super 70 Sports yesterday? Picture of Cosell interviewing Telly Savalas.
No, I did not.
Super 70 Sports leadership, baby. When you went into a battle of the network stars under the tutelage of Telly Savalas, you were already psychologically ahead of ABC and NBC by 10 points.
It's fantastic. Brad Evans threw this tweet out. You made the comment about the All-Star game, David. Since 97, the American League is 21-3-1.
That's pretty good.
I mean, it's not Notre Dame against Navy, but it's close.
Logic, did you go to a game? Probably went to the Sunday game, didn't you? Because on Friday there was only 13,000 people. What I don't get is how they were able to pull more people for the Pirates than the Phillies. It's because it was before everyone's 2-week Bahamas trip. Bless you.
You got something here? I got a little thing.
So that All-Star thing. If we want to talk a little All-Star game here and reset the.
Okay.
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Daniel Wallach will join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time. There's a few things going on in the sports law community. We booked him to talk about Florida's win in federal court a couple of weeks ago and what will it mean, could it mean in terms of sports gambling in the state of Florida. In the meantime, Pat Fitzgerald got fired with hazing accusations. So that may come up as well with Daniel Wallach, co-host of Conduct Detrimental Sports Law Podcast. He'll join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time.
Text line is open at 21,000-2100. If you never texted the show before, you need to text the keyword FSN Radio. Once you do so, you are behind the green door, and you can text as little or as much as you would like. When talking about sports washing and the Saudis and the PIF fund coming to North American sports, we got this text, David. Seems inevitable, so since I'm a Browns fan, I'll do what I always do. Just lay back and take it.
And that's what I think most fans will do. They'll say, it bothers me, but, whatever.
Where are you going to go?
Well, you could take your time and your money and your effort, and you could leave. I mean, like we were talking specifically about what if they try to buy a college athletic department. I mean, are alumni going to say, we're out? Okay. Are parents of kids that are already going there are going to say, my kid ain't going there. No way. Or are people just going to go, oh, well, not happy about it, but what am I going to do?
Baseball All-Star game is tonight. We know David's all excited about the All-Star game. Did you ever, when did you give up on All-Star games, by the way?
The tie. The tie. And then when they tried to do the whole, it's going to determine home field advantage in the World Series. So it was right around the turn of the century then. I'm like, come on, please. First off, if you're going to play it, you play it. All right. Yeah, it's baseball. This can happen. We can have extra innings. You guys should have thought of this. I mean, by the way, you had a 16, 17 inning All-Star game in the past. I mean, you really have. It probably wasn't televised on a network, but I know you had one. We also used to do it. I mean, there have been complete games in the All-Star game before. I mean, honestly, look it up. So, the game evolves. You got to think of these things. Who's on the All-Star game committee? How could you guys not consider this possibility? What if we're tied through 11? We've run out of players. Well, how about we just have a rule? After 10 innings, everybody can go back in. Okay.
Since 97, David, the American League is 21-3-1 straight up in the All-Star game.
That's pretty good. Were the National League there from like 71 to 83? Didn't they win like 12 in a row or something like that?
It sure seemed like it. Most of my childhood, it seemed like the National League kicked the American League's butt.
I think the game, whichever one Fred Lynn hit the first Grand Slam in All-Star game history in, that game was at Old Comiskey, 83, 84 or something like that. Okay, that was the game that the American League broke the streak in. They had lost like 12 in a row, and they finally beat the National League. They bombed them that day.
I used to root. I would be disappointed growing up in rooting for an American League team, wanting the American League to win the All-Star game, and they never did.
It worked on me. I was a Mets fan. It was the mid to late 70s. They were bad. And, Lee Mazzilli and John Stearns, Joe Youngblood wouldn't get in the game until 7th, 8th, or 9th innings. And I stayed up to see my guys play. They also wore their uniforms.
Yes, they did.
I remember trying to keep score at home, like my own scorebook, and you couldn't do it. You're crossing things out. You never had enough paper. But I loved the All-Star game, and I don't know if I'll get past the third inning tonight. I'll watch the start of it. I'll watch the intros and at least the first inning.
I won't watch the intros, but I'll watch Ohtani. I will. He's batting second for the American League. So in the bottom of the first, I will watch Ohtani. I'll tell you what, Arozarena's hitting third. Okay, Diaz is hitting fifth. So, and Arise is hitting sixth for the National League. I'll probably give it 2 innings. I'll watch the Rays and Marlins guy get their at bat, and the Mariners fans will give their plea to Ohtani. Please sign with us. Please. They're the
I'd be
sleeper,
ready
by
for
the
a
way.
chant tonight.
Yes.
If I were Seattle, I would be.
Ohtani? Do you do the wave? I mean, half the stadium the other half Tani.
Might just me. We want you.
Yes. It's like those old posters.
Exactly.
Back in the day. Uncle Sam pointing, we want you. So, hey, it probably should have been a poll question. Are you going to watch tonight?
It probably should have been.
On average, 7 million
be.
people. Yeah, it could be. On average, 7 million people watch Home Run Derby. Last year, I think 8.5 watched the All-Star Game. These are the 2 highest rated days for baseball until the LCS. So, yeah, it's exhibition. It doesn't count. The De La Cruz should be here. That's another thing. Manfred, you've changed a lot of things about baseball. You're commissioner. You could have literally just invented something over the weekend and put De La Cruz in this game. I mean, when he stole second, third, and home on 2 pitches in the middle game of the Milwaukee series, at that moment, you needed to go, I'm the commissioner. He's in the game. And if we need to pick somebody else from the American League so that it's even numbers, fine, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, you might just want to call the National League manager and say, invent an injury for me because we're putting De La Cruz on the roster.
Exactly.
Somebody just got hurt. I don't know who it is, but you're going to have to tell me who it is.
Right. He's playing.
You're telling me I've got an Oakland Athletic and a Kansas City Royal on this team, and I can't put him on the team? Right.
There's somebody in this game who's nursing an injury and who doesn't want to pull out because they don't want the grief. Just let us know who it is. But very quickly, Daniel Wallach's coming up in less than 10 minutes' time. Did you see what Jim Irsay said yesterday? So Jim Irsay was on the Pat McAfee show. And Jim Irsay said, we couldn't be more excited about playing in Germany. I believe we can eventually have a division in Europe. Now it's Jim Irsay. So, I mean, now that Daniel Snyder's leaving, okay, he probably ranks what? 32nd now?
No doubt.
As owners, as the most woohoo. But still, he is in the meetings. I mean, he does know what's brought up.
It's just whether or not he completely understands what's brought up.
Well, I understand. And he clearly doesn't understand. Hey, shut up.
No idea about keep it in the room.
No. But I mean, he's sucking up to Jarrah and Kraft, and those 2 guys are running the league. So, he knows what's going on.
But this is about once every other year we talk about a European division in the NFL.
I understand, but this is an owner who says, no, I can see a European division.
No, but this isn't the first time, whether it's Goodell or an owner. I mean, this is not the first time an owner or the league has brought this up.
No, I understand, but an owner, to me, is a more credible voice than Goodell. Goodell's just lip service, playing the PR game, making sure they sell tickets and sponsorship over there, blah, 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 blah. The owners would vote on this. So if this is an owner going, oh, no, I can see it happening. I mean, these guys, they've talked about this. They've had drinks and talking about this. You think we could do a European division? Should we expand to 36 or should we move 4 teams? And don't you think they said, well, hell, we could move Jacksonville and the Chargers. So there's 2 of the 4. Who else we want to move? You don't think that this discussion's been had over a couple cocktails at an NFL owners meeting in either California or Florida?
Well, and who are the other two?
Well, there you go. Or do we start our own new division? Union will be for it. It's new jobs. Daniel Wallach's next.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I must say, David, after taking the train from Baltimore to D.C. after our flight, I don't know how your mom can do the train all the way from Jersey down to Jacksonville. Wow.
She loves it.
Does she just hate flying that much?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's now, it's a 30, 40-minute less flight for her to get to Jacksonville as opposed to Fort Myers. I mean, I don't know, Mark, if it's 2 hours. It may be 5-10 minutes less than 2 hours in the air. Takes 18 hours, I think, for her to get from Newark to Jacksonville by train.
Right.
And I think she's got on average of 1 stop an hour. Now there are stretches where she goes 2-3 hours without a stop. And then there's a few where they've got, but I think it's like 17 stops in 18 hours, something like that.
So he's calling us.
Correct, on the hotline.
Gotcha.
By the way, ask him if he's in Siberia. So you took the Amtrak. It was a super cool experience, but you would never do it again. That's interesting. It just take too long?
I laughed so hard because I got my tickets for the Amtrak and I thought I just bought I bought 3 tickets. My wife's like, yeah, you did buy 3 tickets, but it's only $22. You bought 3 tickets. Oh, okay. No wonder.
Well, okay, Logic Man. That makes sense. I will say one advantage of the train, if the train's leaving at 5 o'clock, you don't have to get there at 3 and go through security and whatever. No, you can get there at 4:56. Walk right on the train.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour is up. Final segment in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll get hooked up with Daniel Wallach here coming up in a moment. We may post the question, but we're just throwing it out there. You're going to watch the All-Star game tonight. That's all. Nothing heavy today. That's why we have Daniel Wallach. We're going to get into the heavy stuff with him. Okay, poll question, you're going to watch, yay or nay. That's all.
Moulton's got 2 innings in him.
Yeah. This way, the Rays and the Marlins they'll all get in action. I get to see Ohtani, and I'll tell you what though, I'm betting the National League tonight. They're due. 321-1 in their last 25. Mark, I'm betting the National League. It's a pick 'em, by the way. You would think since they get their kicked for a quarter century that the American League would be favored. It's a pick 'em. So there. Daniel Wallach, a gaming and sports betting attorney. He's the legal analyst for The Athletic. He's the co-host of a tremendous sports law podcast called Conduct Detrimental. He and Dan Lust, Conduct Detrimental. Follow Daniel on Twitter at Wallach Legal, Wallach with 2 L's Legal. Daniel, it's David and Mark. Hope you and the family are well. Thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me back on. It's been a while, but I guess there's been some big news recently in the world of sports betting.
Well, we waited until this happened, and I think we all thought it was going to happen much earlier in the spring, but it happened a couple of weeks ago. We've got a dozen or so minutes, Daniel. Let's try to cover some ground. What happened legally 2 weeks ago that had never happened before, and what does it mean?
Okay, this was the first federal court that has ever interpreted the federal tribal gaming statute to encompass internet wagering or any type of gaming outside of Indian lands, operated by the tribes. Every court that had ever addressed the issue of the scope of IGRA, which is the name of the statute, Internet Gaming Regulatory Act, has held that it's limited to gaming on Indian lands and nowhere else. And what the court did 2 weeks ago was they adopted or bought the Seminole Tribe's argument that the compact did not, quote unquote, authorize online sports betting. It only authorized sports betting on Indian lands, and that the issue of where the bet takes place and deeming the bet to take place on tribal lands, that was an additional permitted topic that could be addressed in a compact under these other ancillary provisions that relate to issues like jurisdiction and activities that are directly related to the gaming activity. So they held it wasn't an authorization, and that it was properly within the scope of a compact under these ancillary provisions. I think it's an obviously wrong conclusion, because the compact, if you read the compact, the sports betting provisions are under a title called authorization. And, you know, all the compacting parties, the state of Florida, the Seminole Tribe, they touted this compact by announcing that it authorized online sports betting. But that's the DC Circuit's conclusion, that in order to arrive at their outcome, which is that the compact was valid, they had to reach a factual finding that the compact did not authorize online sports betting. It just talked about it.
Okay. What does that then mean for the Florida gambler? It looked as if, when they first legalized this, the Seminole Hard Rock Casino opened their app up for a couple of weeks and everybody got to bet some sports and got all excited. Well, that was shut down. Is there a chance this could reopen while this case is appealed up to the next court?
Yes, it's not in there. There are no further appeals. The only appeal that's a matter of right has already been decided. Going forward, the appellate review is optional or discretionary by the courts. There's still an opportunity for having the full DC Circuit rehear the case en banc. And then there's the prospect of the United States Supreme Court entertaining review of the case. And those deadlines are kind of, a little further out, 45 more days for the rehearing petition to be filed. And then if they lose that, you get 90 days to file a petition for an certiorari. So while these proceedings are still potentially available, the circuit court or the appeals court has not issued its final mandate in the case, relinquishing jurisdiction and sending it back to the trial court to implement the order. So during this pendency, when there's no mandate issued, everything remains status quo, and there's no change in any of the, there's no automatic right to act in reliance on the DC Circuit's ruling. But you have to remember, the Seminole Tribe several years ago decided to continue their sports book online even after an adverse federal court ruling. Personally, I think the tribe would be ill-advised to try to launch while there's the possibility of further appeals. I think they should wait until all the appellate proceedings have concluded, because if they jump the gun here before the mandate is issued, they may be playing with fire and antagonizing or irritating some of the judges on the DC Circuit, or maybe even in the Supreme Court. I think they'd be best advised to probably wait for the mandate, which could be issued later this year, maybe in September, maybe in October. But think of all the money that they could generate from online sports betting if they were to wait until the Supreme Court has conclusively determined whether or not they're going to take the case. That could be several $100 million, if not more, of lost sports betting revenue. So I think what the tribe are going to do, what they probably will do, is wait to see how the DC Circuit decides on the issue of rehearing en banc. If the DC Circuit denies rehearing, which could happen in September, October, maybe that's the launch date, which would coincide with the first couple of weeks of the NFL season. Now it doesn't really matter so much. We're in the dog days of summer, and it's really only Major League Baseball. So I don't think the Seminoles lose too much by waiting. As eager as people are to be able to place bets, they have to do a cost-benefit analysis of what would happen if they were to relaunch before this decision has been finalized.
Okay, so the decision was not finalized on June 30th. The 45-day clock does not start, because that would then be August 14th. You're saying that,
That's right.
you're saying that until the final paperwork is issued, that's when the 45-day clock starts.
No, the 45-day clock starts upon the ruling on June 30th.
Oh, okay.
Under
So
the
in
federal
theory,
rule-
on August 14th, the Seminole Tribe, if they wanted, could reactivate the app.
They could do it now. The issue is whether they would be wise to do so. I think the petition for rehearing en banc will likely be filed, and the appellate court has already announced that it is not going to issue the mandate until at least 7 days following the determination of any timely filed petitions for rehearing en banc. It's not that the opinion, we're not talking about paperwork here. It's more or less a finality. It concludes the appellate proceedings. And right now, the appellate proceedings remain open with the possibility of further petitions directed to the D.C. Circuit en banc and then to the United States Supreme Court. And during both those potential proceedings, the appellate court will usually withhold the issuance of the mandate until the Supreme Court has determined whether or not to grant certiorari. So it could be a year or longer if West Flagler and the other group of plaintiffs play this out all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. But what the tribe will probably do here is wait to see what happens on the petition for rehearing. The petition for rehearing, when that's decided, I think the tribe could relaunch very quickly afterwards. And it's also worth noting that the Seminoles have begun advertising for sports betting employment opportunities at their Coconut Creek Casino. Now, if they anticipated that they would be waiting another year or so, they wouldn't be advertising for these jobs right now. So I think their expectation or their likely decision will hinge or at least be announced after rehearing is denied. I would look at it as September being the most likely date of relaunch as opposed to right now.
He's Daniel Wallach. He's a gaming law and sports betting attorney. He's the co-host of Conduct Detrimental, a tremendous sports law podcast. He's the legal analyst for The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter at Wallach Legal, Wallach Legal.
Daniel, that's the one big story. Obviously, since then, Pat Fitzgerald was fired after being suspended for 2 weeks. Just your overview of the suspension by the president for 2 weeks unpaid in July to a weekend of talking to two people and now firing him. It certainly seems that do you think we'll ever see what was in this investigation?
Absolutely, because it will become an issue or it will become a document that's part of discovery in the litigation that Pat Fitzgerald will bring to recover his unpaid compensation. He's owed $42 million under his contract, and he's not going to accept this firing without seeking the balance of his contract. He's already hired an attorney, Daniel Webb, from the same law firm that Jeffrey Kessler works for. I can't recall the name offhand. So he's gearing for a legal battle, and the internal investigation conducted by Northwestern is going to be fair game for Fitzgerald as part of his discovery request. Now, the public may not see it unless and until there's some trial or motion for summary judgment filed. It may remain sealed from public view as a confidential proprietary document until such time as Fitzgerald or Northwestern seek judgment on the merits. So it might be a year or more before the public sees it, but I think the parties will have to exchange this information as part of normal federal court litigation discovery.
Is the university president on solid legal ground? I mean, he pays for an out-of-department 6-month investigation. They come to the conclusions. It was a mutually agreed upon punishment. And then within 72 hours, he basically takes it, junks it, and says, I'm in charge. I've met with a couple people. I didn't like what they had to say. He's fired.
Doesn't it remind you of the Ray Rice?
Yes.
With the NFL, a 4-game suspension, and then the videotape comes out, and there's a new round of discipline meted out. Well, this one's a little bit different. We're not talking about a video, but we are discussing new evidence that has been adduced. Since the initial two-week suspension was announced, there have been additional allegations relating to hazing, racism. And one of the advantages that employers have in defending against these types of lawsuits is that even if the school didn't know about all this stuff at the time they fired Fitzgerald, they can use all of this post-termination evidence, all these new accusations that are coming in after he was fired, and they could use it to sort of retroactively justify his firing for cause. So I think the advantages, at least on the breach of contract claim, are heavily in favor of Northwestern, because there's all this evidence that's going to be coming in, and they can cherry pick what they want to rely on. And if it's corroborated, or there's sort of overwhelming evidence, it may be difficult for Fitzgerald to prevail on a claim that he was not properly fired or not fired for cause, and it could compromise his ability depending on how far he takes this. If evidence is adduced that shows that he was aware of this culture, participated in it, actively encouraged, it could compromise his ability to coach again at any major program. So in all likelihood, there will be some number between $0 and $42 million that the parties are going to settle on, because there's a lot of downside risk for both sides. For Northwestern, it's a $42 million payout. For Fitzgerald, it's a possible, death sentence for his career. So I think there'll be some number, and they will reach a monetary settlement to avoid worst case scenarios for either side.
The legal analyst for The Athletic, co-host of Conduct Detrimental. He's Daniel Wallach. Follow him on Twitter at Wallach Legal, Wallach with 2 L's, Wallach Legal. Daniel, all the best to you and your family. Stay safe. Be well. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. My pleasure as always. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thanks, David.
Daniel Wallach, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
That seems like we could have some gambling this football season.
Was an interesting note that they're hiring people.
Yes.
All right. That's reading the tea leaves going. He wouldn't advise it, but then again, he didn't think they should have turned the app on 2 years ago when they did for 4 weeks. All right. He thought
what a glorious 4 weeks it was.
Not to joke, but there's a couple of people that we know. Hell, Felipe said it while you were gone. He can't wait to start betting on sports again. He never had done it before. He hasn't done it since. But as soon as that app is turned back on, he'll start wagering again.
You know why? He's too young to know a guy. At that age,
Oh no, I know guys.
Oh, coming off the top rope over there. Felipe saying, I know a guy, but I'll only make legal bets. That's all. Legal bets.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill, the Bayfront Inn. something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What happened to the Pagula match? Do you know?
Oh, they took it off.
Yeah, I know.
Adley Rutschman looks like an overgrown 8th grader. He just looks like a giant kid.
So awesome his dad threw to him.
Yeah. I always get a couple of those every year.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I would have never, once I found that out, I knew Moulton's bet was wrong. Even if he got through the first round, there's no way he was winning with dad throwing to him the whole time. Dad's going to get tired.
Yeah. Like Samson said, the guy who
Well, if you
tosses
watched
him-
the first time Gonzalez was at the plate, that pitcher didn't take a step and just threw perfect ball after perfect ball.
Yeah. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us on this All-Star Game Tuesday. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 46, 51, 58 are our football magic numbers for week 0, week 1 of the college football seasons, and 8 weeks Thursday, 58 days away. Lions and Chiefs, NFL training camps opening up next week for the rookies. In 2 weeks for the veterans. How about that?
Looks like we've made it.
Yeah, I think so. Wimbledon's a week later than usual. I think the Open Championship seems as if it's a week later than usual. So that'll pretty much get us into training camp. It feels a week later to me. It may not be. To me, it does. That's a me thing.
All right. Well, fair enough. 21,000 the text line. If it feels a week later to you, we want to hear from you. I'm not sure where, this is basically I guess the fourth in the middle of the week throws you, David.
Yeah. It could be. But also, I'm used to Wimbledon ending around the 4th, and it was beginning on the 3rd. So the whole fortnight, seemingly at least 1 week, if not 2 weeks later than it used to be historically. And then because of that, and they don't begin the Open Championship is what, the 20th through the 23rd? I don't know. It just seems a little later for me, which I'm fine with. Push it back. Absolutely push it back. The golf season's over after the Open Championship, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. While I like the idea of the PGA being moved, that it brings other courses and might bring Florida into the mix and all that, it does kind of make the golf season end for a lot of us in late January. If you don't care about the FedEx Cup, which I don't know how many people do.
Makes you wonder, should they move the Ryder Cup up, because they have it now in the fall. It's good programming for NBC because they don't have, they only have Notre Dame football, although now that they have the Big Ten, but they're running it at night. So, the Ryder Cup's not going to get in the way of their Big Ten primetime package. And they could just make sure they don't have a Notre Dame game that weekend, and then they're good to go. They can run the Ryder Cup Saturday and the Ryder Cup Sunday afternoon going up against the NFL. It's good programming for NBC. But yeah, if you're golf, you want as many eyeballs on a premier event as possible. Having it in September or October, it's going to get less eyeballs. And by the way, we are getting close to picking teams. And for the first time in a long time, and you who think one of the 5 most meaningless jobs in the world is to be captain of the Ryder Cup, but now the 6 of the 12 picks are yours, and we got this whole LIV thing. What do I do with those guys? After all, we're representing our country here. We're trying to win. Mark, last time we won.
David, that's the only thing that matters. We haven't won over there since when?
93. That's right. 30 years since we won on the road in the Ryder Cup. And you mean to tell me
that's a home course advantage right there?
Yeah, they've come over here and won plenty of times. So, really? How much do you hate them?
What was DJ's record the last time he played in the Ryder Cup?
Well, it was okay. It was 5-0.
Just 5-0?
He played 5 matches, which is the most you can play, and he happened to win them all. There's only one other U.S. golfer who's done that in the last 40-something years. It's Larry Nelson, of course, who won the PGA twice and should have been Ryder Cup captain, and for some reason wasn't. But Davis Love III's been captain twice, so that's good. Unbelievable. Golly. Was taught golf by a PGA teaching pro. Served this country, by the way. Last thing you'd want is Larry Nelson representing the United States, particularly on the road.
That really honks you off, doesn't it?
Yeah, damn right it does. Damn right it does. served our nation, came back, had never learned the game of golf from scratch. I mean, literally, he is the definition of, the PGA of America. Taking up golf, you don't have to take it up when you're 9. You can take it up when you're 25. You learn the game, you fall in love with it. He goes out, wins 3 majors. He's a Hall of Famer. 2 of the majors are the PGA. Oh, yeah, the people who run the Ryder Cup. Look up how many people have won the PGA twice and not been Ryder Cup captain. It's a pretty short list. And by short, I think there's one guy on it. But Davis Love III got to captain us twice. Ah, that's fantastic. And I got nothing against DL3, but give me
I was going to say, poor DL3 here is really taking a bum rap.
I know, and it's not his fault they made him captain a second time, but really nobody in the room could go, we did overlook a guy. Listen, we had Van Azinger on many times, and he said it's a huge oversight, and he's brought it up to the PGA of America. And can't imagine who Larry Nelson offended. He's soft-spoken,
Obviously someone. He beat someone in a tournament he wasn't supposed to, and it
guess
the wrong person.
I guess.
Who knew Ray Floyd had that kind of leverage?
I mean, is Tom Watson that mad at him because he made that 60-footer to beat him in the U.S. Open in '83? I mean, my goodness. I digress. All right. Back to the Ryder Cup. So anyway, we're trying to win, right? It's all about winning. So Zach Johnson, you going to not pick anybody on the LIV? Taylor Gooch has won 3 times this year. Taylor Gooch, before he left the PGA Tour, was ranked in the top 30 in the world. Since he left, he's won 3 LIV events. You sure you're not going to put Taylor Gooch on the team? I know he's not a big name and what have you.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if Taylor Gooch makes it. But I think the ones you have to ask about are Koepka and DJ.
Okay. By the way, the ones I'd be worried about are Spieth and Justin Thomas. That's who I'd be worried about. You going to pick Justin? I mean, I have no idea the Ryder Cup rankings right now, but if Justin Thomas is not automatically qualified on the team, you going to pick him?
Right now, I don't know how you could the way he's playing.
I don't know how you could either. He's terrible. How many people find their form at the Ryder Cup that aren't named Sergio Garcia? And how bad's that going to look for the European captain when Zach Johnson picks 1 or 2 guys off the LIV squad to be on the American team, and Europe's got this ban where they won't even consider any of theirs? And you got John Rahm pounding the table for Sergio to be on the team.
So right now, the U.S. rankings, as I'm pulling this up for you, Scheffler, Clark, Koepka.
This is Ryder Cup point standings?
Yes.
Okay.
Schauffele, Cantlay, and Homa are your 6 automatics.
So no Spieth and no Justin Thomas.
Spieth is 8th currently.
Okay.
Justin Thomas is 13th.
Now, those 2 are buddies, though. They made a great team. Yada, yada, yada.
Ricky Fowler's actually ahead of Justin Thomas on the points.
Well, come on. I mean, I will say you would have to, based on 2023 form, you'd have to take Fowler over Justin
Absolutely.
Thomas.
He's playing out of his mind. But, Koepka's already earned his spot the way it goes. DJ would be interesting.
Interesting?
Because he's 34th.
Here's the funny, they all like him, though. He's the one guy who went to LIV that all the guys are like, hey, he made no bones about it. He said, I'm nearly 40. Okay, I got 2 kids. I don't want to play as much. I'm going to make a lot more money. If my tour career's over, my tour career's over. I've already had it, is what he said. He looked at the Spieths and the JTs of the world. He said, no offense, you guys got to play 10, 12 more years to be where I am right now. So If I'm done, I'm done. I'm fine with that. I'll see you at the, Golf Hall of Fame because I'm in. I'm going in, just so you know.
And DJ resigned from the PGA Tour, right?
Did he? I think he did. Yeah, I think he was one of the
I
first
thought he
very
did.
quietly.
Right.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
Will that have any effect? And I know it's not run by the PGA Tour. It's run by the PGA of America. But we all know that they are as close to intertwined as possible.
But they've all gone out of their way to speak very highly of DJ. He's not Phil. He's not even Koepka. They're all like, no, we love DJ. And DJ was open and honest about it. He said, come on, guys. I'm nearly 40. I can make more. I can play less.
I'm doing this for the money, too. Yeah. DJ was the one. He didn't sugarcoat this. He didn't try to say the sport's growing, this is growing. No. Doing this for generational wealth.
Yeah, doing it for the money. Yeah, spend more time with Paulina and the kids and fishing. I like to fish. I've had enough golf balls. I'm good. Won my 2 majors. I'm fine. 2 are pretty good, too. It's a U.S. Open and a Masters. I mean, I got to admit, for an American,
right?
For an American golfer, that's probably the big 2. So, but it is interesting that the United States and the PGA of America has not put the ban on the Americans on the LIV Tour, but the European squad has. And therefore, if you're Zach Johnson, what are you going to do?
Where are you going to go?
Yep. I mean, okay, if Koepka automatically qualifies, there's nothing you can do about that. But
because for the golf fans listening right now, if you still hate LIV the way you did a year ago, that's fine. Go right ahead. Do you hate LIV more than you hate losing to the Europeans in the Ryder Cup? Because if you're a golf fan, it's a big deal to you. Most golf fans really get into the Ryder Cup. President's Cup, not so much. Ryder Cup, big deal.
And imagine if you keep 1 or 2 guys off the team and you play, and then those guys don't come through for you. DJ's sitting home and Justin Thomas loses a Sunday singles and the U.S. loses 14.5, 13.5. Okay. All right.
Zach Johnson would have to live with that. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. The good, the bad, and the ugly. 25 minutes away right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. In Naples.
And Tiki Bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Is your computer okay?
Llama, we're aware that the Ryder Cup is. I don't think so.
Okay.
What?
It's very sketchy here lately. When been freezing. That's why I'm not touching anything for the rest of the show. But Llama, we're aware that the Ryder Cup is run by the PGA of America. We're not missing the point.
Llama as in the animal.
As in Twitch chat room.
Twitch chat room. His name's Llama.
Oh. You're talking about the Ryder Cup. I'm so sorry. I thought you were talking about something called the Llama Cup. I'm like, in Peru?
I would love to know if there is a Llama Cup.
It's got to be in Peru or in Panama, something like that. Man, I could go for some Peruvian cuisine. You ever had Peruvian food? It's the best. Oh, grilled guinea pig. Ugh.
Pagula lost the first set, won the second set.
There we go.
Well, this would be an awful loss for her. She's playing an unseeded player in the quarters of Wimbledon.
They just put the update on. That's all.
And I'm just saying this would be an awful loss for her. I mean, she's 29. I don't know how many more, it's time to get that major.
You got one in Southwest Florida, Guillermo?
Oh, man. It seems that all the Russian women have been eliminated. If Svitolina here upsets Swiatek, I was going to say, how nice would a Russia versus Ukraine Wimbledon semifinal have been? Just to stir up the pot a little more.
Oh, Gaucho Inca is good. I like that pretty much too. I'm with you.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when, along with some final thoughts coming up in about 20 minutes time here on Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Don't know how much play this is going to get today. The aftermath of Fitzgerald being fired at Northwestern. You got Wimbledon, you got the All-Star game tonight, but they are having that Senate hearing later this morning. It starts. PGA Tour, PIF, which is the fund from Saudi Arabia to dump all that money into sports worldwide. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin released this statement, or gave this answer to a question ahead of the hearing, Mark. He said, instead of this hearing, I'd rather let these parties try and work out something for the good of the game. I don't doubt everybody in the midst of these negotiations loves the game of golf and wants it to succeed long term. They just may have different visions of what that looks like. But let's face it, Greg Norman loves the game of golf. The players that accepted the PIF's offer and went over to LIV, I think they love the game of golf. I think they maybe didn't think they were being compensated properly on the PGA Tour. And that's a problem in every professional sport. How do you adequately compensate the stars in relation to what I would call journeyman players seeking the top? How do you do that and keep everyone happy? It's probably an impossible task, but it's one that the advent of LIV put out on display in terms of the PGA Tour. It sounds reasonable.
It sounds incredibly reasonable.
Now, we'll see if he shows up for the hearing and if he says anything at it, but, or if he says, well, listen, all the things I got to waste my time with today, I'll attend this for a couple hours, then go to lunch. What's on the menu, by the way? We have pasta? I haven't had pasta in a while. I digress.
It's always a menu.
Right. I mean, hey, can you find out what's on the lunch menu today? I'm trying to figure whether I'm going to the Senate hearing. Golf. It's one of the pressing issues.
What's the special in the commissary?
It's one of the pressing issues in our country today. What the hell is going on in the professional world of golf?
I mean, this is Charlie Wilson's war. I got to go do this vote. It must be really important. No, it's not at all. It's about the Boy Scouts, whatever it was.
Right, exactly.
No, but I've got to get back for it. It's really important.
It's a hell of a job I have, though. I get to vote yes a lot. Right. This isn't even a vote. It's a committee hearing.
Right.
Do I have to be at this? Nah, you can do your opening statement. You could leave. We'll make sure that, we never get that cutaway with all the empty seats. Don't worry about it.
So now I've got to find C-SPAN today to see if they're showing any of this committee hearing.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, does this get top billing? I mean, it's July, for goodness sakes. I didn't even realize these yahoos work in July. Okay, what committee is going on today that could be more entertaining? Although I don't know that C-SPAN takes entertainment value into effect with their programming. But, I mean, listen, any hearing is more important than this one. Let's be honest. I mean, this should be, what is it, the ESPN Ocho that they do the one day where they show the most inane sports possible? I mean, that's what C-SPAN's doing, going, listen, of all the things we put, this is like one of the 4 dumbest things we've ever aired. Yeah, it also get like some of the best ratings we've ever had. Because we got 100 guys on the PGA Tour who want to know what the hell's going on.
Right, who have no clue whatsoever, and at least making somebody in their family watch this.
Right. At least their advisors are watching. Golly. So, I don't know. We'll see if it gets any attention. I mean, if you're ESPN, if you're the Golf Channel, do you send a correspondent?
It's a lot more interesting before they merged.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this was fascinating a few weeks ago of how this was going to all come about.
You know what I meant to do and I didn't? On Sunday, I wanted to make a mental note. Because wasn't this the first LIV event since the announced merger? or Alliance. I'm sorry. Technically, it's an
It's
alliance.
an alliance. Yes, it was.
Right.
They played in London. Yes.
Right. And this was the first one after Monahan. I wanted to see, did the Golf Channel actually show highlights? Come on now. Come on now. The money's coming from there. We got to soften our stance about them, right? They can't be Satan anymore, right? Come on now. We're taking their money. We're gonna welcome these guys back to the tour. It may not be till 2025, but come on now. We got to have a path. I mean, don't you then at some point start show some highlights again?
That is the part of this now that I'm most interested in, is the path for these guys to get back on tour. They're going to suspend them. They're going to fine them. You take all of the money from PIF and then you fine the guys who took the money first. How does that make any sense? But that's what they've talked about: suspensions and or fines. It makes zero sense.
Lee Westwood couldn't play in the Senior Open across the pond because the European folks there said you owe us like $200,000 in fines. Lee Westwood said, "Yeah, not a dime. You ain't getting squat from me. Are you serious? I can't play in this." And Lee Westwood wants to go, "I'm sorry. What have you guys done for European golf?"
And you're right. I happen to have the Golf Channel on Sunday morning. It just by happenstance clicked by because I was waiting for something to start and they still had the Euro Tour on. There's nobody on that tour.
And that was actually, it was in Denmark, and they had a Dane who came from behind on Sunday, shot like 66, got in the playoff and won. That was actually a lot of people for a DP World Tour event.
But there was a time when you saw that you actually recognized a name or two of the golfers that are on that tour.
Exactly.
And it might as well be the Corn Ferry Tour right now.
Totally. You could be big into golf. You have no idea who these people are. None. This tour is a joke. PGA Tour intentionally set out to ruin it. We want all your top players, okay, and we're going to get them. So that's all. I'm curious, how much attention does this get? I mean, if you're the Golf Channel, how many times has there been a Senate hearing about the PGA Tour? Don't you have to send a correspondent?
Will they do a better job than the NHL Network did during the last lockout?
Hey, I was impressed. The Big Ten Network actually covered Pat Fitzgerald's firing yesterday. They did a 90-minute special on it. I'm like, hey, how about that? You guys are doing news.
You mean breaking news on your conference and you're going to wait for it, cover it.
Right. Well, Mark, as we know, during the pandemic, they ignored it. There's nothing going on. No, actually, there's a lot going on. We'll let the other networks handle it. Oh, good. By the way, sad day yesterday in sports media. All right. The joke, the long-standing joke that Miller and Moulton have had about when there are 5 or less newspapers left in the world. All right. 2 of them are going to be the Tampa Bay Times and the Naples Daily News. Well, it's coming to be. The LA Times gutted their sports section yesterday, and the New York Times eliminated theirs.
Eliminated it.
Correct. Because they bought The Athletic, and they just said, if some of the guys from The Athletic write something that we like, we'll put it in the Times. As for the rest of you, we're not firing you yet. We're going to find you other jobs. So the guy who covers baseball is covering the national news desk for the New York Times.
Not like they're the same beat or anything.
No. Wait, you're covering the national... You're covering the Nationals? No, I'm covering the national news desk. Oh.
Who's their fourth starter? Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when and what's on tap. It's how we finish things out right here on the Florida Sports Network.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, The Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
They moved the last live event back from Saudi Arabia to Trump's place in Miami, too.
Really?
Saw that this morning.
Back at Doral?
Yeah.
Powerball 7 1/4 tonight, boys. $7 1/4. Excuse me.
Oh, boy. No more of that.
So, Guillermo, let me get this straight. You're giving us $72.5 million, even if we say it's after taxes. You're going to give us like $40 million. We can only talk about the NBA in May and June.
Done.
Done. Hell, we'll turn the show over to Felipe. We'll take 2 months off. Oh, and Guillermo insists we have to do the first week of free agency in July. Okay, fine, done. Fine, we won't even take off. We'll do it. We'll let everybody know, by the way. This week of Miller and Moulton bought by Guillermo. He won the Powerball. He wants to hear only NBA talk. If you win the Powerball and you'd like to change the subject, give Miller and Moulton a call. We've been open about it all over the years. We can be bought. The 1 seed lost the first set.
Oh, it must have just happened because I'm watching double set point right here on TV. So it happens when you stream.
And Pagula's up a break in the third.
Oh, wow.
Man.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kerwin, Seth Everett, scheduled to be on the show tomorrow. So there, take that. 46, 51, and 58 days away from football starting, depending on when to you it actually starts. 46 days till week 0, 51 until week 1 of the college football season, 58, 8 weeks Thursday, Lions and Chiefs. Get the NFL season started. Training camps underway next week.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1804 is where we start. The little dispute between Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton ended in a pistol duel where Aaron Burr would mortally wound Hamilton. In 1900, Charlotte Cooper becomes the first female Olympic tennis champion and the first individual female Olympic champion in any sport. Today in 1914, Babe Ruth makes his major league debut as a pitcher for the Red Sox, earns a 4-3 win against the Cleveland Naps. Today in 1950, in the 17th All-Star game, the National League wins in 14. It was the first extra inning All-Star game, and Ted Williams would break his elbow in the game. Surprised we still played after that.
Yeah, really.
To Kill a Mockingbird was published today in 1960. The Newlywed Game premieres on ABC TV today in 1967.
Could you imagine even submitting that as an idea for a show these days?
What's the most unusual place that you've ever made whoopee? I'll let all of you answer at home.
Although we do have The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, so maybe the Newlywed Game would work.
Maybe it's time to bring it back. They bring everything else back.
Okay. If they're going to bring it back, line of questioning or the fashion? Which is more important to its success? Because the fashion is so incredibly awful.
It's awful.
Awful.
Today in 68, Earl Weaver replaces Hank Bauer as manager of the Orioles.
That worked out pretty well.
Worked out really well. Bowie releases the single Space Oddity today in 1969. We'd land on the moon not much longer.
No, a week.
9 days.
20th, right?
Right. Today in 1974, the World Football League plays its first games. Today in 89, Ronald Reagan was one of your sportscasters in the All-Star game. He was president at the time.
No, he just.
Oh, it's just finished. I'm sorry.
Yep. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he didn't work very hard. He could have done it while being president, but he did technically wait until, was it him and Scully?
Yes.
Doing it together? That's like an old Tonight Show with Carson. You just listen to Scully and the Gipper there do a couple innings of the All-Star game.
2010, in extra time, Spain beats the Netherlands for their first World Cup. 2013, Orange is the New Black premieres on Netflix. 2019, the last models of the Volkswagen Beetle are produced in Mexico, ending production worldwide after 80 years. And Djokovic wins Wimbledon today in 2021. That would be his 20th Grand Slam title.
When did we stop the Beetle again?
2019.
You know, I always wanted one.
You and me both. Loved the slug bug.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I always wanted one. I remember when they announced that, you know, we were getting rid of this, and we had just purchased a series of cars for everyone in the family. And it was like, oh man, I'm never going to own a Beetle.
John Quincy Adams, E.B. White, Yul Brynner, Brett Summers, and Leon Spinks all born today.
Look at you going, Brett Summers, little match game action.
You're darn right.
Sitting in the 2-hole there. Busting her former husband, Charles Nelson Riley, to her left. Nipsey Russell to her right.
Richie Zambora is 64. Al McGinnis is 60. Rod Strickland is 57. Lil Kim's 48. And Caroline Wozniacki's 33.
And she's coming back.
She is.
Do you know, every time I hear Richie Sambora, I always think of Heather Locklear. She's on Stern, and obviously he's doing the show in the morning, and he's interviewing her, and he eventually gets around to her love life. It says, you know, there are rumors that you're dating Richie Sambora, and she says, well, why don't you ask him yourself? And she passes him the phone in bed.
He gets answers out of everybody.
Just
Did I miss anything?
I don't know. I stopped. No, you didn't actually. You hit all the big ones. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Hell, I don't know.
Hell, I don't know.
Conor McGregor's last fight was 2 years ago. It's been a while.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him with the whole, NBA Finals incident, because I don't believe that's going away. It'll be interesting to see if Conor McGregor is still going to be embraced by all the money that he's been embraced by. If you know what I mean. You can get canceled. It'll take one thing to get you canceled these days.
Yep.
And alleged sexual assault will do it.
But he's got that proper 12. He's making so much damn money. It doesn't matter if he's canceled on the UFC side. I mean,
But just in terms of, seeing him out in public and at events and the whole deal, right. Those days could be over.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
for the good today, I keep it right local with Bob Tabarini. local musician. And he has set up a fundraiser for another local musician by the name of James Wilder, who's played with Soapy Tuna. If you've lived in Southwest Florida and you've been to a bar in the last 20 years, you're aware of who Soapy Tuna is. James Wilder has cancer. They are throwing a fundraiser for him tomorrow night at the Buddha. Bunch of bands, auctions, things of the like, all going on Wednesday night at the Buddha.
I'll be in town. Want to go?
It starts at 7, so maybe we go.
Well, I have something at 6. I'm going to be tied up for a couple hours, but
because anything after 7, David, I'm in bed.
Okay. Well,
I mean, and the Buddha doesn't even get going until 11 o'clock at night.
Exactly. I was going to say an event at the Buddha that starts at 7. I mean, what is it? Bingo?
Even these guys are getting older from the bands, David. They don't want to admit it, but they're
right.
They're our age as well. But guys from Soapy and Red Hannah doing a great job, and all the other musicians that are involved. If I didn't mention you, you can check it out on Facebook. I've shared it. I'll put it on our page. But it's tomorrow night at the Buddha, a fundraiser for James Wilder, local musician diagnosed with cancer. And as you well know, a lot of these guys don't have the greatest health care in the world, so they will need all the help they can get. For the bad, we go to the Friendly Skies, where a passenger on a flight from Orlando, Minneapolis, St. Paul, was going to get arrested when he got off the plane. When he realized that they were waiting for him, he decided to open the exit door and start running down the tarmac away from the plane. They didn't find him at first, but airport employees found the man inside an airline service food truck. Later that evening, notified authorities he was arrested and held in jail. Back to the skies. This time a United flight heading to Amsterdam from Houston was diverted to Chicago because a man made a stink because he didn't get the meal he wanted. After not getting the proper food, he melted down on the plane so much so that the plane had to divert and head to Chicago, where he was let off the plane and the plane would get to Amsterdam a mere 3.5 hours late.
Unbelievable.
All over the wrong meal being served.
First off, sir, the fact you're on a flight that serves a meal, you should be thankful.
And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today. 7-Eleven Free Slurpee Day 2023.
Also, is Subway giving away stuff today?
I don't know. I do know that the free Slurpees are out there, the free small Slurpee on 7-Eleven.
Well, also, it's Christmas in July. It's Prime Day.
It's an excuse for people to spend more money that they don't need to spend.
You're absolutely right, but ain't that capitalism?
I was terrified for a moment there because my wife watches the Hallmark Channel, and that's their promotional campaign for the month of July. It's Christmas in July. I'm like, hold on a second. Is Felipe going Hallmark Channel on us? What the heck?
Well, this studio serves as my babysitting room as many days in the summer because we don't not done the daughter doesn't do camps every week and she just refused this year. She paid no attention to me all morning. She played on her tablet. She read her book. She's been very peaceful. She's great. I mentioned the word free Slurpee. She nearly jumped out of the chair and accosted me.
Also, this might have been the one morning in which she was going to accompany you to work anyway, because the AC is not working properly in your house. And of course, it's 57 degrees in the studio that you're in. So I could see your daughter going, Daddy, can I follow you to work? It's cool there.
Absolutely. She's dressed like it's winter in here. Boots, long sleeve shirt, pants. I mean, it's an ice box in this place. It's fantastic.
So I think there's a promotion. I think Subway's giving away free subs today. If I'm wrong, I apologize. So
with all due respect, who cares? Subway is terrible.
Listen, people like free, Felipe. Honestly, there's nothing a radio station or show that can do that is better than giving away free T-shirts. Honestly, people will drive 20 minutes out of their way and cut in front of people in lines. Honestly, so Free is free.
Yeah, what apparently on Sunday, one of the racetrack gas stations lowered their gas here to like $1.76
What?
a gallon. Had lines for days.
Yeah.
So someone could save $10 on a tank of gas.
Yep. Right. Spend a couple dollars in gas, drive down, and
Just to
save
get
$10.
there. Right.
Yep.
I'm just waiting for Wawa to open on Alico Road.
Listen.
Overrated.
You're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy.
It's a gas station for crying out loud.
They have hot food at 4 a.m. Get a
What
hoagie.
gas station doesn't have hot food at 4 a.m.?
Good hot food at that.
Well, all right. Now, if we're going to stipulate,
it's gas station food. These Wawa people need to get over themselves.
Wawa is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, look at you. Boy, did they have you. You're like Renee Zellweger, and you had me at hello. I mean, look, it's you.
It's Hoagie Fest till July 16th, you know.
By the way, do you know who Renee Zellweger is?
No idea. Maybe if I saw her face.
So what's officially the list today? He didn't know
Barney Fife,
Ma Bell, U.S. Bell Telephone. Okay, Renee Zellweger, and I thought there was one more.
That might have been it.
The list of things Felipe heard in the show today that he has no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So go watch Me TV and the Andy Griffith Show at some point in the next 24 hours so you can get your Barney Fife.
No idea who this woman is. Sorry.
Surprised. Been in a few movies. Thought you would know.
The All-Star games tonight. Fox. I think you have to tune in at like 7:30 though to like start getting the intros and what have you.
Well, then tune in at 8 then, because those intros take 10 years.
Well, some people like the intros actually.
Yeah, you get to see your player.
Yeah, it's kind of why a lot of people watched over the years. You got a Marlin in the starting lineup. You got two Rays in the starting lineup. Tony's hitting second. Garrett Cole, a Yankees starting. So
there you have it. We'll do it all over again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Thanks so much for listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hi. Excuse me.
hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
You had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider